And we're on. Okay, so I'm here with a friend of mine, Sam, and I'll let Sam tell his own story as we sort of get into the conversation. But we were just having a bit of a talk about my new role at MacArthur BMW, and I was just saying, sometimes you go through this phase in your career where it was like I lost meaning in what I was doing, and like I got to this point. So I was pretty fortunate. I had a lot of good mentors in my working career, and I got to a point in my career where I got there sooner than I thought I ever would, and when I was working for a previous employer, I basically got to general manager, dealer principal level in the automotive industry at 28.
Wow.
And I remember saying to my now wife, but at the time we were dating, and I just said, is that it?
Yeah.
It was a real sort of shock to my
How
system.
far can I go?
Yeah, well, did I sell myself short? And there was a lot in front of me to do, but I never really, I didn't have a plan for after that. I always had a plan leading up to that. And then it was just like my whole world just shifted. I'm like.
So a dealer principal now at MacArthur's BMW.
Yep.
Do you think it's a stepping stone for you? Would you like to get into, for example, is BMW your favourite car?
That's a really I think that's an unfair question.
Well, correct. You don't have to answer that.
No. But the reason why I say that is because let's think about it this way, right? So obviously, so Sam's in the coffee business, and I'm sure he's going to tell me more about that. When you think about it, it'd be like saying, do you have a favourite coffee?
Yeah.
And you like different things about every single
coffee,
yeah. Whether it's a different type of bean or
Yeah.
a different type of blend or a different kind of roast, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with cars. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, there are so many good cars in the marketplace now. You can't really say that one is truly better than the other in any particular, overall, but in the individual things that they do, I think BMW definitely the driving component is an advantage over a Mercedes. Whereas being in a Mercedes, that comfort and that ride equation is a different factor again.
Yeah.
So even though a car is a car, it just depends, I guess, how sort of deep you want to go with it, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But anyway, well, we're sort of here to have a bit of a chat, and
Yeah, cool.
And it's quite funny how we ended up at this place.
Yep.
Because
after buying a few cars.
Yeah, after buying a few cars. So then we had this sort of
Chat.
Yeah, this crazy conversation probably a couple of months ago now, and we said, no, we've got to do this, and but then we've had a few hurdles along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about any of that, or?
Oh, it was just a difficult time. A couple of busy things popped up, and then after that, my father-in-law got sick all of a sudden, and then that was the day I had to cancel on you. And then the following Thursday, well, he passed away, and we had to bury him. So that was another hurdle, and then since then we moved out of the unit we were living in, and moved in with my mother-in-law to give us some support. And that's still a bit of a hurdle with, the agents breaking the lease and all that kind of business that happens. But overall, I think everything's settled down, everything's good, and I've, thank you very much for inviting me here to get me to chat.
Yeah.
And I think
so you mentioned it was a bit sudden. So if you what happened?
So he had a slight heart condition since a year ago when we went travelling together. We went to Turkey, and he didn't know about his heart condition until he went on holidays, and then he found out that he had a heart condition. And then for the last 12 months, he's been taking tablets and looking after himself. He's 84 years old. He just turned 84.
Yep.
And he's generally quite fit.
Yep.
And quite capable man.
Yep.
Never needed help.
Yep.
And then apparently got a virus.
Okay.
And then that virus led to sepsis, I think it is, septic sepsis, whatever, where the blood gets poisoned. And him being quite a strong man.
Yep.
Kept telling everyone, I'm fine, but we could tell there was something wrong with him.
Yep.
And for 2-3 days, he was declining rapidly.
Yep.
To a point where by the third day, he was in his bed moaning like a little child and rolling in bed, where we went because his wife rang us and
said, majorly wrong.
Something's seriously wrong with Dad. Quick, come. And then we realised this guy's been suffering for a few days, for 2-3 days now, and we rushed him with ambulance to the hospital, and they said, look, he's losing his mind because of the lack of oxygen that's going to his brain, and his heart has been deteriorating because of this poisoning, and we're going to lose him. We don't think we can hold him for any longer, so we're going to give him drugs to keep him going. But if we're just buying time, really.
Wow.
Because his heart's giving up as we speak. It's down to 50.
So they basically said from the start that was it.
Yeah. So they were like, do you want us to put him on a life support? And then they explained what life support is, and we said, no way. We're not, if the guy's going, we want him to go gracefully, and we want to spend time with him. And 36 hours after that, we all stayed at hospital for the whole time and talked to him, held his hand, and he was, unconscious for most of the time. He did wake up before he left, and he got up and he said only a few words while everyone was in the room. Like, he said a couple of words to each daughter, his son, and then he held his wife's hand and he wanted to give her a kiss. And it was the first time anyone had ever seen, and he had, like tears rolling down his eyes. And his wife leaned over and gave him a kiss, and he said goodbye to her. 3 hours later, he was gone.
So I think from that, he would have known as well.
Well, he knew.
He knew. He knew that was his time, and
he said to his wife, because she's quite young, she's younger than him, 20 years younger. He said, he grabbed her hand and he said, you're 64. You need to look after yourself, look after your family, and thank you. And then soon after he went. Wow. It was pretty. It's pretty full on. Only because he was such a strong character, driven, ambitious, successful. Like, he was. If I could be half the man he was at his age. Where it's too late now. I'm almost 42, and I compare myself. He was like, wow, at 42. Like, I look up to that kind of a man, a strong man. But he always wanted to die with dignity. He didn't want his wife to ever need to shower him, change his pants, and he never wanted that. His dream was to die with dignity, and it actually happened. So someone was on his side. Someone was looking after him.
Knew the way that he wanted to go.
He knew. And that's exactly how it went. Peacefully, with dignity. He said bye. We said bye. And he went.
Wow. And I guess, I know you've got young kids. Like, how do you explain that to them, or did they understand what was happening?
Yeah, we had them with us for the whole time.
Yeah, wow.
We sent them to school. We were up till 1 a.m. that night when he was in hospital, and we explained to them. And especially my son, who's turning 10 years old soon. I know that grandparents aren't meant to have a favourite, but we all knew that Sebastian was his favourite. It was very evident that he was his favourite. And so it was pretty hard on my son. Because I had prepared him for the last 6 to 12 months. And I told him, every time you see Grandpa, you need to, every time, walk up, give him a hug before you leave and say, Grandpa, I love you the most. And then leave, say goodbye. Because you never know if that's the last time you say goodbye to him. He's 84, he's going to leave us. So I prepped him, and he did. For the last 12 months, him and my daughter always told Grandpa nonstop how much they loved him and how special he was to them. So when he was passing, I explained to my son that this is the time. It's happening now. Grandpa's going. So he was emotional, obviously. he was crying nonstop, and he said I feel like I'm empty. And I said, why is that? Tell me, explain to me how you feel, son. He said, because there was only one person in the world that ever loved me that much, and that was him. That was Grandpa.
Yeah.
And then obviously as parents we try and explain, don't be silly, we love you. And he said no. He said it was different with Grandpa, and now I've lost Grandpa.
Yeah.
So we had to explain to him, and we had to comfort him.
Yep.
But he was okay with it. He understood Grandpa was old. He tried his best. He did his best, and how and why he's gone, and he's watching over us now.
Yep.
And a couple of days he had a rough day at school. They rang up and said, Sebastian's crying.
Yep.
He'd just burst into tears in the middle of the class for no reason and run out.
Yep.
And then when they chased him, he said, I'm thinking about my grandpa.
Yep.
But he's fine now. Now that we've moved in, it's actually better.
Yeah, because he's got all the time with
He's actually
grandma,
sleeping in Grandpa's bed.
Oh, is he?
Because Grandpa and Grandma slept in different beds.
Yep.
For comfort reasons. And Sebastian now sleeps in his bed. And so we keep talking about it and saying, imagine how happy Grandpa is right now.
Yeah.
Seeing you in his bed with your photo as a 3-year-old child on his bedside table.
Yeah.
And so it's things like this that we cherish, that we speak about as a family. And so we're celebrating his life rather than mourning and crying all the time. Instead, we're happy, and we bring up photos about him, and we talk about all the lessons, the life lessons he gave to us.
Yep.
And, I'm a son-in-law.
Yep.
I'm not his son, but I treated him like a father, and he treated me like his son.
Yep.
He was very hard on me.
Yep.
But I knew he loved me a lot. So that was the thing. Whereas other people would clash with him.
Yeah.
He's quite a strong man.
Yeah.
I would take it on the chin.
Yeah.
And I would accept it, and I'd learn from it, and we'd bond even further because of that.
Yeah.
So that was a emotional but beautiful time, actually. Yeah. We all miss him.
And then how about your daughter? Like, did she? I know she's younger, right? She's younger than Sebastian.
Yeah, she's 7.
She's 7. And
she didn't really understand her that much. She knew Grandpa, like she keeps saying, "Oh, I wish Grandpa was here," like little things like that. But she wasn't as emotional.
Different level. Different level of understanding, I guess. Yeah, I guess Sebastian being the first, right? It's one of those things where he gets the. I think about this with my kids, right? Because I got a daughter first, and Cadence, like when she came into the world, she only knew having mum and dad around, so she knew what it was like to have just mum and dad around. For that, 2 or so years until Harley comes along. And then for Harley, like I look at him and he only knows the world with Cadence in it, right? And I love it because I feel like they're so close now. Like Harley gets up first, and he's a very early riser, but in the mornings, like if like we just leave him to walk around the house and like give him his breakfast or whatever, and he wanders around, eventually he'll find his way to his sister's room and be banging on the door trying to wake her up. Cute. So he knows that she's there or she's in there. I just think, from an awareness perspective, it's like, they both have a different experience of growing up just from that, whether you were the first child or the second child. And it's like, I think for him, he doesn't know anything else. Like he doesn't know what it would be like to not have to share mum and dad with anyone else, right?
Yeah.
But for her, she knows, but I feel like she's done really well to sort of adjust and be like, no, it's okay for Harley to be around and
accept it.
Yeah, like I'm sure every parent goes through it, right? Where there's a rough stage where they want all the attention.
Of
right?
course, yeah, yeah. My kids still go through that.
Yeah,
yeah. That jealousy of, what about me?
Yeah.
Once the second child comes along, I think that stays kind of forever.
Yeah. You got siblings, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, I've got one younger sister.
One younger sister? Yep. And I guess what was it? So what's the age gap for you guys?
She's 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's turning 39 or turned 39.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so what was it like for you growing up? So I don't know if you can remember anything back from being 3, but you would have had that experience of not having someone to share your parents with.
To be honest with you, I can't remember anything about my early days.
Yeah. So what's the earliest memory?
So I think the earliest memories are with my sister,
Okay.
and I think they're from closer to 10 years of age.
Wow.
So I don't know what's happened. I think maybe we'll talk about the fall that I had at school when I was young. But I went through a stage where I can't remember anything about being a young child till 10, 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah. So from my earliest memories is with my sister at home, with my family, really from the age of 11, 12 when we were living in Chatswood till now.
So, but you didn't grow up in Sydney, right? Before that, you were where you?
I was born in Lebanon.
In Lebanon, okay.
Yeah, I was born in Lebanon. My parents were from Lebanon. We're an Armenian background, and both parents are born in Lebanon. Our great-grandparents migrated to Lebanon in 1915 when there was a war between Turkey and Armenia.
Okay.
So to escape from getting massacred, most of the Armenians fled.
Yep.
And they happened to go to Lebanon.
Okay.
So for 3 generations we were born in Lebanon.
Yep.
And then in 1984, when there was a war in Lebanon, civil war, my mum decided that it was time to move.
Okay.
So we were quite a comfortable family there. My father had some property. He was a electrician.
Yep.
Car electrician. And he owned the service station they were at.
Okay.
Which was a big parcel of land and a couple of units that they were at.
Yep.
That they had. And when this war happened, we had to leave the country immediately.
Yep. So you just live with nothing?
Basically.
Wow.
So the army comes,
Yep.
takes over the petrol station.
Yep.
As a base.
Oh, it became a base for them?
Became a base for them.
Yep.
Because it was big land.
Yep.
They thought, sweet, we'll take this. The units, because you got to lock it and leave.
Yeah.
Whoever knows that you're not living in there,
they take it,
breaks in, and it's now theirs.
Yep.
There's none of this. Oh, it's mine. Where's the papers?
Yeah, there's nothing like that, right?
Nothing like that.
Yep.
So then we quickly moved here.
Yep.
Which was good.
So do you remember the move or
no?
No, nothing.
No. I have some memories, like little glimpses of memories. One of them was being in the basement of the car park of the units, because Lebanon is mostly units in Beirut.
Yep.
And I remember the loud screeches of the bombs that used to come past us.
Okay. Wow. And
I still remember now how you could tell if a bomb is coming and it's about to hit you, it's close to you, or it's going to pass you, from how it sounds from far away.
The whistling noise.
That whistle. You know that if it's going to be close.
Because it'll get louder, right?
Yeah,
and
it's like a different pitch when it's aiming towards you.
Yeah.
And I remember we used to always have to run downstairs in the middle of the night. The bombs would start. We'd run downstairs, grab blankets, and I remember sleeping on the floor with a blanket and on my mum's lap, and my mum rocking me and talking to me while I was 5 years old.
Yeah, wow.
That's about the only memories I have. So it's quite traumatic, but I only remember that
part of it.
That part, the bombs, and going downstairs to the basement thing. And sometimes we'd have to stay there overnight until the bombs stopped.
So then, do you know how you guys ended up in Australia?
We flew, but I wouldn't have a clue.
Wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
So it's just basically, whatever your parents have told you.
Yeah. The facts that my mum's brought up is, we came to this country with 500 Australian dollars back then.
Wow. And
she spent all her life savings on, or all the cash that she had on the aeroplane tickets and getting us ready and coming here.
Yep.
But they were under the impression that we'd move here for a bit,
Yep. And then go back.
sell our properties,
And then come back.
and then come back again. It didn't quite happen like that.
No.
One of the units we sold for 10,000 Australian dollars
Yep.
in 1985 during the war, because someone had already moved in, and they said, "We're not giving you anything. We're only going to give you $10,000. You're going to take it or leave it."
Yep.
And it was a friend, our neighbour, actually sold it to them.
Oh, wow.
So we don't know if he took
Some of the money already.
whatever.
Yeah.
So we bought a VH Commodore with that money. So it was a car.
At least you got to a car, right?
I remember the red VH Commodore. We bought Mum because she wanted a car,
Yeah.
and that was like a nice car back then. So
Yeah.
we bought her a car, so she's happy.
So how old would you have been when you got the VH Commodore?
I would have been about 8, 9 years old.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And so we moved to Australia. We lived with grandma and grandpa for, actually no, grandpa had passed away. We moved in with grandma in Epping for about 2 years.
Yep.
Because we didn't have anywhere to live, obviously.
Yep.
Just came with a couple of suitcases.
And did you speak any English?
No.
French,
Armenian,
Armenian,
and Arabic
and Arabic.
fluently.
Okay.
Because you go to school in Lebanon when you're 3.
Yep.
So from
So
3,
they drill it into you basically.
Yeah.
At 3 years.
by the time you're 6.5, you're pretty good.
And okay. And how come? So what? How come you were speaking French as well?
The school that I went to,
Yep.
it was a private school there,
Yep.
and that's a lot of the people in Lebanon speak French.
Okay.
That's like the second language to Lebanon.
Oh wow! I
It's
didn't know
Arabic
that.
and French.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and obviously I learned Armenian because I went to
Yep.
a private school that was Armenian.
Yep.
That taught all 3 languages.
Yeah.
But then when we came here, I didn't have anyone to speak French with.
Yeah.
And we spoke Armenian at home.
Yep.
A couple of years into it, I wasn't really getting on at the public schools that they sent me to.
Yep.
Ryde and Epping Public School.
Yep.
And the teacher said, you have to cut the languages out. It's hard for him to pick up English when
Yeah.
you're talking to him in 3 different languages.
Yep.
So they went, okay, forget about Arabic too.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We're only going to speak Armenian
Yep.
and English,
Yep.
which worked.
Yep.
I picked up English 6 months after that. I was fine.
Yep.
But you lose the other 2 languages.
Yeah.
French, I know bonjour. That's about it.
Yep.
I know a few more, but
Yeah.
I don't.
It's become very basic, right? 'Cause
I don't know anything. I say I
the
don't.
progress stopped
Stop.
back at that age. So
Arabic, I can understand, say, 40% of the words, or I can string a sentence together, or I can understand what people are talking about.
Yep.
Because I know every second or third word.
Good. Yeah. So you
So
can
I
sort
can
of piece it
guess.
together. Yep.
Yeah. And Armenian, I speak fluent. I don't speak it much anymore,
Yep.
only with the grandparents.
Yep.
But we don't, we should be practicing it with our children. But
It does get hard.
another thing,
Yeah.
another chore.
Well, so, like Ange and I, we made this conscious decision when Cadence was born that we would do our best to speak Chinese to our kids, because and Cadence is about to start preschool next year. So it's like, we know that, she's about to go through this change where she'll only want to return fire in English, basically. So, we're trying to drill as much, I guess, foundational level Chinese into her as possible. But, even from when I was growing up, it was like, I think my parents tried, and, I did do a lot of years of language school, but in terms of the retention, my language skills have become basic. It's conversational.
It's conversation.
I wouldn't be able to do anything technical or business orientated in Chinese anymore, because I don't use the language in that fashion. I use it to talk, to my kids.
Yeah.
So then you lose that level of detail when it comes to, I guess, trying to convey your meanings and things like that when it goes that level. So, you know, I think probably speaking to my daughter in Chinese has regressed my Chinese because I'm talking like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, simple.
simple to try and help her to understand it. But, you know, we just try and, you know, give her like, you know, the shows and stuff in Chinese to watch as opposed to watching them in English. So
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah. So just trying to keep that, and then, and I think the other thing that we tried to do was try to explain to her that, you know, there's the English way of saying it and then there's the Chinese way of saying it. So because, you know, I guess one of the fears that I had was like, you know, you go to school and then you've got a teacher who doesn't understand Chinese. Yeah. So then they drill it into them that it's what they're saying is wrong.
Yeah.
Right? When it's not wrong, it's a different language.
That's right.
So the better that, you know, she can understand that, you know, you can count in Chinese and you can count in English. The meaning's the same, but you just got to look at who you're talking to and whether they speak English or whether they speak Chinese.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's
that's cute.
it's challenging. You know, language is always challenging, and I think, you know, especially, you know, when we're in an English speaking society, you need to develop your language skills further in that side to be successful. You know, and so as you were saying, you know, like as a kid who was speaking all these other languages, you were struggling to fit in. Yeah. You know, you would have felt ostracized, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So, well, okay. So then, you know, you started to pick up English, and then schooling wise, so that obviously got a little bit better for you.
Yeah, it got a little bit better, and then we moved to Chatswood. We moved out.
Yep.
Because Dad had a job. Mum got a job working in a sandwich bar as a kitchen hand, washing dishes, and she didn't speak English. Obviously, she only knew a couple of words.
Yep.
So because she got a job, and it was in Chatswood.
Yep.
We could afford to pay rent and move into a unit.
So what was your dad doing?
Auto electrician.
So he came across to Australia. He's still doing an auto electrician.
He found an Armenian family that owned a few petrol stations and
started doing work.
They thought, great, we'll employ you.
Yep.
And he was with them for a while. I think he was with them for 20 years or so.
Yep.
Long time. And we moved to Chatswood, and I went to Our Lady of Dollars school, Catholic school, till year 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then year 5 to 12 went to St. Pius.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that young stage of my life and going through what I went through with 2 working parents actually created the person who I became later on, watching my mum go to work at 5 a.m. every morning, 6 days a week.
Yep.
And so you had to get up yourself, you had to dress yourself, and you had to walk to school.
Yep.
And that would be normal for a 10-year-old child.
Yeah, it's not normal anymore.
Not normal anymore.
Now, you know, people see kids walking around by themselves like, what?
Yeah. My sister was 6 years old.
Yep.
And I used to walk her to the bus stop.
Yep.
Actually, I used to stop a K away from the bus stop.
Yep.
And she'd know where the bus stop is.
And then she'd
walk the rest.
Yep.
And we stayed in this unit for I think 10, 12 years. I can't remember now. We were there for a long time renting.
Yep.
And it was home for us. My father was a nice man, kind man, but not very strong mentally. Not very driven.
Okay.
He and you wouldn't learn much from him. He was just a simple kind of guy.
But did he try and teach much?
He didn't try and teach much.
Yeah.
And when he did, it would be more funny when we heard him.
Yeah.
We would be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Even at a young age, we'd be thinking, oh, Dad, be quiet. Like, you don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
He was quite a simple character.
Yeah.
Very funny, very bubbly and happy.
Mm.
However, the dark side was he was a gambler,
Oh, shit.
big
Okay.
time
Yep.
gambler. So he would spend, back then he would earn $1,000 a week,
Yep.
but as soon as he got his paycheck, everything was cashed in, no credit cards.
Yep.
He'd pick up the cash check on Saturday 11 and he'd be at TAB, he'd
Yep.
be
What was he betting on? Horses? Or?
horses.
Yep.
Originally he was blackjack and poker
Mm.
casino
Yep.
addict
Yep.
originally.
Yep.
So in Lebanon, even my mum told me when they were young,
Yep.
he used to gamble a lot. People used to come knock on the door to repossess the TV and stuff that
That he just lost.
he just lost
Yep.
because he borrowed money at the casino and said, "I got a TV at home, go get it."
Wow.
And she would have to pay them to not take it.
Take it.
And she would always say he's going to lose our properties as well.
Yep.
He loses all the cash.
Yep.
Soon he's going to lose our properties.
Yep.
And when we moved here, he'd go once every 3 months and he'd fly. There was no casino in Sydney.
Yep.
So he'd fly up to Gold Coast.
And gamble there.
Yeah. And he'd gamble, lose all his money, come back. Save again,
Yep. Just to do it all over again.
do it all again. Or a couple of occasions he found my mum's hidden cash.
Yep.
She'd have so many hiding spots.
Yep.
And he would search and sometimes he'd find one or two and depending on what he'd find, he'd disappear. He'd go to a closest travel agent and buy a ticket
And go.
and go, literally, with just a small bag in his hand. He was so addicted to gambling that we would be ringing him saying, "Where are you, Dad?" And he wouldn't actually. He didn't even have a phone that early on. We would go to his work to see where he is, and they'd say he left a long time. We wouldn't hear from him till 9 p.m. We'd be worried, and then he'd ring from a hotel in the Gold Coast and say, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm just at the casino." And
Do you think he... So how old were you when you sort of started working out that was what your dad was doing?
from 10 years old.
And did that make you feel like, I guess, was there any resentment from that or
Actually, earlier than that.
earlier than that?
I actually, another small thing that I remember was when my mum used to send me. So in Lebanon, you can gamble like people's houses.
Yep.
You just go and gamble. You take
Yep.
money with you, you gamble, all the neighbours.
Yep.
And in the units we lived in, a couple of levels down, the men used to gather there and
Yep.
play.
Yep.
And people used to leave the front doors open. That's how, it's no one really comes and steals from you in Lebanon.
Yep.
And my mum would wake me up when I was 5. She'd say, "Go downstairs and hold your dad's hand and pull him up."
Yep. Tell them to come home.
Yeah, tell him to come up. And I used to remember sitting. I would go and I'd see him sitting in his chair, and he'd be gambling, holding his cards, close to his chest, and he would get mad at me if he's losing. He'd get mad at me. "Go upstairs. Go to your room. Go. Get out of here. Quick. Go. Go. Go." When he'd win, he'd fold a note or a couple of notes in his hand,
Yep.
and he'd pass it to me and he'd say, "Hold on to this. Don't lose it.
Yep.
Go give this to your mum."
Huh.
And it would be a way that I can go up and bribe my mum to say, "Here's some of the winnings.
Yeah.
He's staying a bit longer."
Yeah, that's right.
Then eventually he'd come back with nothing anyway. Sometimes he'd come back with a bit of money, but
Yeah.
so I don't have very many memories as a child, but I remember like
These little bits and pieces.
little snippets of things.
Yeah.
And then when we moved here, he met someone that also liked gambling, but said to him, "Hey, why don't you, instead of going to the casino, you can gamble every day. Come to the TAB.
Yeah.
Try this." And he's like, "Horses? I don't know anything about this." He said, "You don't need to. You just pick a horse." So then they started gambling, and before you know it, he's a master of it.
Yeah.
And he likes that adrenaline, and he goes and he was very sorry when he used to come home.
Yep.
Sometimes
So
he'd
you
hold
feel
his
that-
head
that
in
guilt.
shame
Yep.
while my mum's crying, saying,
What did you do? Yeah, how?
what are we going to eat now? Like, who's going to pay for the food? My registration's come. Like, I can't do it all by myself because she was doing it all by herself.
Yeah.
And he would hold his head in shame and not want to talk and say, I'm sorry, but like, I don't want to talk about this. And we'd talk to him nicely on the next day, which would be a Sunday. We'd say, Dad, please, don't go.
Yeah.
I need a pair of shoes. And he'd say, yeah, I'm not going. But lo and behold, he'd be there.
Yeah.
As soon as he has a bit of coin in his pocket, he's straight back there.
Yeah.
And then Mum would send me to TAB to pull him out from there.
Yeah.
So me and my sister used to walk into the TAB and everyone turns around to see what the hell are these kids doing there. Yeah. And we'd ask him to come home, please. Come home, have dinner, come home, He'd again do the same thing. Go home, quick, I'm coming, 10 minutes. I'll be there in half an hour. I'll be there, like, just go. And then he wouldn't come, or he would come with nothing. Too late. He spent all his money.
He's already gone, yeah.
So unfortunately he had a gambling habit that was serious that didn't help the family to save up, go on holidays.
Yep.
Buy things.
Yep.
Everything was reliant on Mum.
Yep. So
Mum started as a kitchen hand. A year into it, she had a Chinese boss.
Yep.
Henry Lowe. Lovely man. He loved Mum because she was hard worker.
Yep.
Can't speak English
Wouldn't
much.
talk. Just
worked. None of this sit down, smoker, lunch, none of this bludging.
Yep.
And he respected her so much. Within the second year, he gave her a key to the shop and he said,
you come in anytime.
You come and open from now on.
Yep.
And you close when I leave, and I'm going to start leaving a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So he trusted her. And then she went from in the kitchen to started to be at the front to make the sandwiches because her English, she started learning.
She started to pick it up now.
Yeah. She knew what ham, cheese, beetroot was, toasted, not toasted,
Yeah.
So she would be at the front. And back then, you'd go to a sandwich shop and you'd pick what you want and they'd make it fresh for you.
Yeah.
Not like now. It's
all
pre-made from 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. The only one that still does it is sort of Subway.
Yeah, sort of, right? Yeah. So that's how sandwich shops were. So she worked there with her sister because her sister got the job originally.
Yep.
And a couple of years into it, they were basically running the place for Henry. And Henry would still go and work. He was a very hard-working man.
Yep.
5 years into it, the lease ran out and Chatswood Chase said, there's a demolition clause.
Wow.
You can work month to month.
Yep.
But, unfortunately,
we're going to be closing.
We're going to demolish this.
Yep. Yep.
And Henry went and bought a business in North Sydney.
Okay.
So one Christmas, he pulled my mum aside. He said, you're the hardest working person I've ever employed.
Yep.
This is another key to this business, which is my key to the business. I want you to have two keys to the business. From today on, this business is yours.
Wow.
Everything.
Yep.
Walk in, walk out. I'll just grab my apron. Today's takings. I'll leave you afloat for tomorrow. From tomorrow on, you know how to run the business.
Huh.
This is a gift to you.
No way.
So she felt obliged because her sister got her that job originally, right?
Yeah.
She didn't want any conflict, so she went to her sister straight after and said, Henry just gave me the business.
Yep.
But I want to, before her sister said anything, she said, but I want to give half to you.
Yeah.
We can have this business together.
Yep.
So she was happy.
Yep.
The sister was happy. They ended up running that business for about 5 years.
Wow.
So that demolition never came into place.
That's right.
It was on month to month for 5 years.
5 years.
And touch wood, that generated money. She bought a house from that. Like back then the interest rates were 19%.
That's right, through the roof.
And
so everything was bought cash.
She went and bought in Ride. So there's a story behind that too. But she was a hard worker.
Yep.
And I think by seeing what my mum had to go through,
Yep.
I never wanted to be anything like my dad.
Yep.
And I learnt what hard work was about.
Yep.
And I always knew that I wanted more than what my dad could
give
to us.
Yep.
And I wanted to give more to my children.
Yep.
I want to be opposite to him.
Yep.
So, growing up, we'd play basketball, and after Our Lady of Dollars, we went to St. Pius X College at Chatswood. And I played basketball. Most Armenians play basketball. That's the sport of their
choice. Yep.
And most of the rich kids would have nice sneakers.
Yep.
I'd have the ones from Target. They'd have the real Nikes. I'd have the Nike lookalikes.
Yeah.
$14. Then as I got older, that became a bit of a complex. Everyone's got
the better
nice
stuff.
And kids have no filter that say that's fake.
Yeah.
Or that's not real.
Yep.
Or if I'd go to Flemington Markets to buy something, they'd say, oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
And there's quite a bit of bullying as kids do, especially all boys.
Yep.
And when I was 12 and a half, I used to work on my school holidays for $5 a day at a petrol station, cleaning the gutters, cleaning the oils in the oil bay, cleaning the petrol pumps like with sugar soap. And I used to literally be a cleaner of a petrol station.
Yeah.
And he used to give me $5 a day.
Big money back then.
Yeah, and I used to save that up.
Yep.
And I was like, this is great. I was getting 50 cents an hour. Now I think of it and I cringe. But I had to do that while all my fellow friends were going to Gold Coast.
Yep.
Because that was the thing that you did.
Yep.
And they'd all go there during Christmas time and they'd,
Yes, have their holidays.
holidays, and I'd be at a petrol station.
Yep.
And I would save my money and I would tell my mum, hey, Mum, I need a pair of sneakers.
Yep.
Can we go buy a pair of sneakers? She'd say to me, sure, let's go.
Yep.
We'd go and I'd try and pick the most expensive one at Target.
Yep.
And it might be $25.
Yep.
And I'd see what her budget is.
Yep.
And then when she picks the most expensive and she agrees to it, I say, now can you give me that money instead of buying me those shoes? And she used to say, okay, what's on your mind? I'd say, because I've got also $40 saved up.
Yeah, and you want to buy
And I want to buy the Nikes.
Yeah.
So I'd upgrade myself.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while. We used to go buy clothing, T-shirts from Target. I used to say, I want a Jag. Jag was a big brand then.
Yep.
I want a Jag T-shirt.
Yep.
And used to get a twin pair for $25 or whatever it was. And she used to give me her $12. I used to put 13 on top. I used to go buy the Jag ones. So from that, that's how I learned how to save, and I understood, I appreciated the value of money. And then as we...
It's all right. All right, keep going.
As we grew up in that unit, it was a small unit.
Yep.
Shared a room with my sister, so
yep.
there was a lot of fighting, teasing, the things that kids do. Cabin fever,
Yeah.
We only moved out of there when I was 17.
Wow.
So
and it would have been rough for your sister too.
Yeah.
She's going through all these changes and you're on top of her.
Yeah, she's 14, 15 and she's like, get out of my life.
Yeah, that's right.
Stop teasing me,
I need some privacy.
Yeah, she needed privacy, the poor girl. But growing up, my dad was very lenient when I was young. He used to say to me, take the car for a drive.
Wow.
here's the keys. And he had a Mazda Capella
Yep.
back then. He used to leave the windows open, unlocked. It was
Yeah, no one would ever
was
think to
safe.
steal it or whatever. Yeah.
no
different
way
world.
no one would steal it.
Different world. Yep.
And he'd say, this is 1988.
Yep.
Take my car for a spin. Or start my car, I'm coming down. And I'd start it, wait for him. And I'd put in drive, go a little bit forward, a little bit back, drive it a little bit. And one day he came down, he said, let's go around the block. He sat next to him in the passenger seat. He was a bit careless.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go. I could hardly see over the steering. But he helped me steer and he told me accelerate, brake. And we went around the block once. Well, that led me to, I want to do it again.
Yep.
This is exciting. So I did it the second time with him, third time with him, fourth time with him, fifth time alone.
Wow.
Sixth time, I'm taking his keys. He's not saying anything. He's still asleep. I'm going downstairs.
You're going for a drive.
And I'm 14 and I'm going for a drive to Willoughby and back.
Oh, wow.
And then I started going for a drive at nights and picking up my mates
Oh, wow.
as well. And a careless father, he didn't know what I was doing. Or even if he did know, he'd say,
Didn't care.
come back in half an hour. Go for a drive, come back in half an hour.
Yeah.
And luckily nothing ever happened and we didn't get caught or we didn't have an accident. So nothing serious happened. But it got me into liking cars.
Yeah.
And I wanted to buy my own car, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I was on my L's, I bought a Holden Gemini.
Yep.
And in the garage we were living in, we sanded it back, fixed the panels, fixed the rust.
Yeah.
I had a couple of panel beater apprentice older friends that came and helped me and would sand it all night. And my interest was cars.
Yeah.
I didn't like school.
Yeah.
I was street smart, but I wasn't an academic.
Yeah.
I suffered from ADHD.
But
Never diagnosed.
but so do you think it was legitimately ADHD?
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Because now my son has ADHD.
Okay.
And we go to a therapist, psychiatrist, and we're doing family therapy with him.
Yep.
And we laugh about it. And the doctor says, you certainly had ADHD. It's more mild now as you're older. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Because something about my front lobe has been more activated, and I'm a little bit more stable now.
Wait, okay, hang on, because you mentioned you had a fall somewhere in there.
Okay, so while I was at school, I didn't like school. I'd concentrate on graffiti, basketball, cars, girls, Jordans, working at Coles. I worked as a checkout chick.
Yep.
As soon as I was 14 and 9 months. I was more interested in going to work.
Yeah, saving money.
Saving money. And in year 10, I fell at the gymnasium. So I was quite a fit, strong guy for my year.
Mm.
There was you'd always have, the top 5 strongest guys or the top 5 fastest runners. I was amongst that guy that
was in there.
I was
in the mix.
In the mix, always.
Yep.
One of the quick guys or one of the strong guys, or whenever there was a fight, there was the Wogs, the Chinese and the Aussies.
Yeah.
And I was like the Wogs candidate. Whenever there was a fight and it happened to be with the Wogs, I had to be on the front line to kind of
be in it.
Sort it out
with
the other Wogs. So we did chin-ups on this gymnasium at St. Pius downstairs called the Blue Room, and it had blue carpet on concrete floors.
Uh-huh.
And it had a couple of bars that were maybe 2.4 meters, 2.5 meters above floor level, and you'd have to run up, jump, and try and grab it with 2 hands. Your body would swing forward and back a couple of times.
Yep.
Then once it stopped swinging, you'd reverse grip, and then you'd start doing chin-ups.
Yep.
I did 32.
Jeez, that's a lot of chin-ups.
A lot of chin-ups in year 10. And people were counting. And then one of the leader of the Aussie group, he was a footballer, front rower. He turned around and said, bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. And everyone was like, no, he did. And, a lot of people were backing me up. But he made it out as if I'm lying.
Yeah.
Because he had done 31.
Yeah. So you done more
And
than...
I just did one more just to beat him. And then he pretended he didn't see it. And he said, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I'm tired.
I just did it.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah.
I wasn't stupid. I said, you go first. It gives me 5 minutes rest and then I'll go. Second time around, I think he only did like 19 or something.
Yeah.
He was buggered too. And then it was my turn. I ran, took a run off, jumped up to grab with two hands. Only one hand held on. The other hand, the fingers slipped.
Yeah.
So my body was swinging in the air.
Yeah.
But it was too hard to hold on. So I had let go.
Yep.
But I can't remember all I remember is, and apparently my head was pointing towards the ground as I was coming down.
And he's back to straight.
And apparently I had one arm out to stop my impact.
Wow.
Broke my arm.
Ouch.
Fractured my skull.
Yep.
And moved a couple of discs in my neck.
Wow.
But I was out cold.
Yep.
Blood coming out of my mouth. People couldn't wake me up. Ambulance came. A few of the kids came to hospital.
Yep.
They even allowed the kids to come with me.
Yep.
No rules. No H. They rang my mum. My mum was working in Chatswood Chase at the time.
Yep.
So she quickly came and they couldn't wake me up. I was in...
Concussed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in...
or like a coma almost.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
And they called a priest.
Yep.
To say goodbye, to do his prayers and...
Really?
Yeah, because...
That bad?
I was pretty bad. And they did a scan on my head.
Yep.
And they saw that I had a blood clot to my brain, or my brain, it was bleeding around my brain.
Oh, so it was really bad. Yep.
And...
Hemorrhage. Yep.
Yeah, hemorrhage. I was hemorrhaging.
Yep.
And they wanted to drill my head.
To relieve the pressure.
And I remember all of a sudden waking up and vomiting.
Yep.
While the archbishop was there, my mom, a couple of other uncles and aunties, 4 or 5 kids, my best friends from school. I got up and vomited. My eyes are still closed and I vomited blood, heaps of blood.
Yep.
And then I did it again. And my mum freaked out because she thought I'm dying.
Yep.
But the doctor said, actually, this is good.
Yeah.
It's good that he's vomiting this.
He's getting it out.
He's getting it out. It's great. And then they moved, and then I was there for a few more hours or whatever. And then they moved me to intensive care, and I was in intensive care for 2.5 weeks almost.
Wow.
Scans, more tests, broken arm, like all kinds of stuff. I was stuffed up. 2.5 weeks later, they said, we're going to release you. You're going to go.
Away you go.
Away you go.
Yep.
But you got to come back. You got to come back once in 4 weeks.
Yep.
For a scan.
Yep.
And then we'll tell you after that how often you have to come for a scan because we have to monitor this blood clot.
Yep.
A month later, I went back. Blood clot's the same size. That's great.
Yep.
We don't need to operate on you. Let's just monitor this for now.
Yep.
Can you come back in 3 months' time? 3 months' time, I went back. They said, we can't see any blood clot.
Yep, it's gone.
Nothing. We don't even know which side the fracture was on. Like that's how...
That's good, it healed, yeah.
It healed 100%. It healed. So they were amazed. And I was blessed that I didn't die and nothing happened to me because they said all this, I could have mental issues and so many issues.
That's trauma, right? Trauma, any sort of trauma to the head, if it's sustained or severe, it's, can cause issues.
Yeah, and a lot of people said, sue the school because you were unsupervised and all this. We weren't interested in any of that.
Yeah.
We didn't even tell the school to pay for the medical bills that we had afterwards.
That's right. That's not the way people were back then, though.
The rehab, we did it all.
Think about it.
We just wanted to be better.
Yeah.
We weren't there for the money.
That's
and
right.
we weren't there to try and take money from
Yeah.
the school. We didn't want to do the wrong thing. So that happened to me in year 10, which was
Funnily enough, you just made me think of a memory that I had where at my high school, there was we had these basketball courts where we used to hang out as the guys, and to the side of the basketball courts there's all these trees, and I was sitting down, and I think it must have been morning tea or something, and then I was being stupid with my mates, and I think we must have been spitting mandarin seeds at each other, right? And then one of my mates must have grabbed one and went to chase me with it or something like that. And I've gotten up and I've turned 180 degrees and started to sprint, and I went crack straight into the tree. Had this massive bulge on my head, this lesion on my head, and then it was at lunch because then I think it was a maths class after, and blood was pouring out of my head.
Oh,
and
no.
I just had the paper towel there, and then the lump had formed, and lo and behold, the teacher saw it, and then teacher sent me to the
Sick bay.
Yeah, basically the sick bay, and then the principal saw me, and then he goes, he said something. I think he tried to make some corny joke about how when he was in school they used to try and work out who when they're playing rugby, who's going to play in the front row, and it's the guys who don't dodge the trees, and I'm not the size to play in the front row. But anyway, I still remember when my mum came to pick me up, all I copped was, "Why are you so stupid?" Right? Who runs into a tree? Right? It's not like I intended to run into a fucking tree. It's you don't plan for those things to happen. But anyway, that was you just gave me that memory when you talk about obviously not to the same extent of yours, but mine was more self-inflicted. But I guess yours is self-inflicted.
Yeah.
But anyway, keep going. So so and then so the ADHD thing. So
I was never interested. My mind, still to now, can do multiple things.
But so this is do you think it's that you prefer to have multiple things going at the same time?
I think it's a chemical imbalance that makes you less focused.
Yep.
I can't finish a book. I can't read a book. I've started a lot of them.
Yep.
But I haven't finished them. I can't even do the same thing to an audiobook. I'm on Audible.
Yep.
I listen. I get to halfway.
You've had enough.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how interesting it is.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's you could be talking about my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I will never ever finish something. I'll always go to 3/4 of the way and I'll stop.
Yeah.
And signs of ADHD, obviously. That's one of them.
So then, when you see that in your son, how does that sort of manifest itself? So he's the same way.
I see him and I just smile. My wife doesn't understand it. She says,
"What's wrong with you?"
No, we have to help him. And I just laugh about it. I say, I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And when he does something, it's like it's repeating on me.
Yeah.
I watch him and I think of me.
Yeah.
Or I know how he's thinking by his body language when we're doing a certain something. And I say, Sebastian, X, Y, Z. And he'll say, yeah, how did you know? I say, because I'm exactly like you. I was like you when I was your age.
Well, this is one of the things that we were talking about, in our previous conversation about. I always wonder, how much of what your kids do is genetic, and how much of it is things that they pick up. Because sometimes you look at what they do and you go, "Holy shit, that's something totally what I would do." And there's this little being that's obviously you don't know whether they picked it up from somewhere or it's just who they are.
Yeah.
My son, he's before he could even walk, he was climbing.
Yeah.
Just trying to climb on everything, and he hates, and I see it in myself because he hates having people being able to do things that he can't do.
Yeah.
So he sees his sister feed herself, and then he wants to feed himself, and we don't want him to make a mess, so we try not to let him do that, and then he's having a fit about it, right? And then I have that same sort of, I can remember being that kind of impatient, at different stages in my life where, I'm associated, like my brother was 7 years older than me. And so I used to gauge myself based on where he's at in life. But he's got 7 years on me.
7 years, yeah.
Right? So
bit of a head start.
yeah, so like I think back on it and I feel sorry for my brother sometimes because he was always lumped with having to babysit me. You think about being a 17-year-old guy, and then you've got this 10-year-old brother who wants to hang out with you and your mates, and to your mates it's probably a bit of a novelty. Like you got your friend's baby brother. But for him it was probably embarrassing. Annoying, right? Like he doesn't want to have to be exposed to that. But then I think back on it, and I guess my brother's been such a huge influence on my life from that regard, because I look at I always used to look at where the things that he was doing and sort of compare myself to that and not really think about the simple fact that he was 7 years older. Like I don't think of things like that. I don't do it based on an age or a time. I just looked at okay, well if Donnie can do it, I can do it. So it's just I
think that helped you.
Yeah, I think so. I guess when I was growing up, like my mum was like similar to your parents. Like my parents were always working. They had their own businesses. Like my mum was running a computer shop, and my dad was an accountant, or is an accountant, or whatever. He's still sort of in that field. And I remember because like the first 10 years of my life, I grew up in St Clair, so Western Sydney, and we had this this little house on the corner of the street, and my brother went to the local primary school, but then my parents had bought a block of land or something that they were building on in Baulkham Hills, and that's why I went to a school closer to Baulkham Hills. But back then, we hadn't moved yet, and so up from kindergarten to year 4, I think it was, they had to drive me. It was an hour's drive in the car every day.
Wow.
So they drive me to school at Crestwood in Baulkham Hills, and then they'd go back to their shop, and their shop was back then in Blacktown, and then they come pick me up after school, and then I'd go and hang out at the shop until whatever time they decided to go home. Yeah, like and like if they work late, I was there till late. You don't really think about it, and then when we eventually moved, then I guess it was a bit easier from that perspective. We didn't have the long drives, but I think also back then, like a lot of the cars were on super fuel, and like it's full of lead, right? Like you're not as a kid, it probably wasn't good sitting in peak hour traffic in the mornings. Inhaling all that lead. But I'm sure I'll work out the impacts of that at some point. But my mum was very much like I guess what you'd call what everybody terms a tiger mum. Like always very focused on pushing me, in the sense of, I'd come home with homework and then there'd be more to do. She'd give me more, like whether it's read this newspaper article or, she was very big on reading, and I'm actually grateful for it.
It's very typical of the Chinese culture.
Yeah, like they push their kids.
They push their kids.
They compare their kids. I don't. That part of it, I don't really agree with. But I guess, who am I to talk when I'm there comparing myself to my brother?
Yeah.
Right? Like I guess I never really thought about it like that. But I was probably doing the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, and so, I've always had this sort of impatience, even in my career, that I look at people who, my work colleagues who might be in a better position than me, and I go, well, I should be able to get there too.
Yeah.
So I guess having that, that's a motivator. Of course. That sort of drive that nothing's off limits.
Yeah.
That
shaped you.
Yeah.
You're like that now.
Yeah. Well, like, I think everybody sort of talks themselves out of things before they've really actually had a go at it. And I always sort of think if there's anything that you really, really want in life, you'll get it.
Yeah.
By hook or by crook, if it really means that much to you. Like, when you were telling me about, buying the Nikes, it was a complex for you. It became something that you really had to have.
Yeah.
So you found a way.
Yep.
Right, and pretty smart on your part to go to your mum and go, hey, I want the most expensive sneakers at Target. Get her okay with that. Okay, can I have that as money?
Yeah.
And then go buy your own
smaller gap.
Buy your own Nikes, right? Like, but yeah, I think when you really really want something, you'll find a way, and then. And that's not to say that if for whatever reason something doesn't work out in your life that you didn't want it hard enough.
No. Sometimes
it can be,
yes,
because you've given up just before you got there.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be, or life's thrown a hurdle at you that you just, it's made you change direction.
Detour.
Yeah, you've taken that detour because you've elected rather than go over the hump, you want to bounce off it and, try something different, as an example. But, I think, for me, I've just always been very impatient. When it comes to life, I'm very much if I'm going to do something, there's only two options. You either make the choice that you're doing something, or you made the choice that you're not doing something. And then whenever somebody says oh, let me think about it, well, really you've thought about it.
You're really not going to do it.
You just made the choice that you're not going to do it. You're trying not to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And maybe this is like the salesperson in me from being in the car industry, where we get that a lot, where people say well, let me think about it.
Yeah, let me come back to you next week. You're not going to get it.
Well, it's one of those things like okay, there are definitely circumstances where there are legitimate reasons why you want to line things up, get your finance sorted, all that sort of stuff. But there's other cases where it's just like you aren't really sold on what you're buying. You're not 100% sure that that's the right thing for you. So you asked to think about it, but in thinking about it, you sort of have made the decision that no, you don't really need it. Because if you really needed it, you would have just said, "Yep, okay, I need it." So
let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Away we go. So I think it's one of those things where not, and I know it's probably not. It's a very alpha way to view things. Whether it's just make a fucking decision, yes, no, and stick with it, right?
And do it.
Yeah.
Stop wasting time.
But then when you're in that middle ground where it's like, let me think about it, then people are thinking, okay, maybe I can influence you. And reality is you're still going to come to the decision that you're going to come to. So all you're doing then is you're just getting, I guess, some people like that, where, you get other people along for the ride.
I've got people that I can think of that are exactly like that.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be processed and thought about before they make a decision.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, let's get on with it.
Yeah. How much time have you wasted in that? How many opportunities have you let go while you were deciding whether you should or shouldn't have made that decision? It's sometimes you miss the moment.
And if you're going to be like that, you're actually going to miss life.
Yeah.
Because for most of it, you're going to be contemplating whether you should or shouldn't do something when other people are doing it.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine who I haven't spoken to for a few years now.
Yeah.
But he's a couple of years older than me.
Yep.
He's exactly that. I've thrown business ideas to him and offered him partnerships.
Yep.
Oh, let me think about it. He doesn't think that, he thinks there could be a better way, and he's never done anything.
Yep.
And then after I've sold the businesses and he's come and seen them, he's thought, should have done that with you.
Yep.
How many options? I've given him 2 or 3 options. It's like, mate, I'm sorry, but I'm actually saying no to you now because you're taking too long.
You missed the opportunity.
We're not on the same boat here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our society has moved to this culture where everybody makes everybody second guess something. So if Sam goes and says, I'm going to do this, and by talking about it, then people go, why would you do that, Sam?
Yeah.
Right. And then you go, you think to yourself, why would I do that?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah. And then, but when I think the real answer is, it's more that, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Like why shouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
We always focus on I guess that, sort of that questioning and that allowing those negatives to hold you back, rather than thinking about, well, if I just make the decision, whatever happens,
Yeah.
and we can make another decision from there.
Yeah.
You know, and so even if it's a no, you made that decision. Let's move on.
Own it.
Yeah, own it, right? Don't sit in the middle that I'm on the fence about this.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really. I don't think anything really changes. You know, your perspective may change, and you may miss the moment.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think, it's you got to ask yourself why not more often than why.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you do make a mistake, you learn from it.
Yeah.
You move on.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes that I've actually owned my mistake and I chose the wrong thing, or I bought the wrong thing, or something happens. And I say to my wife, education costs money.
Yep.
That was a lesson for me.
Yep.
I'm going to pay it. I stuffed up. I shouldn't have promised X, Y, Z.
Yep.
I'm going to pay it out and we're going to move on from this.
Well,
I've just learned from it.
Yeah. If money's the only thing you've lost to learn something,
It's cheap.
it's cheap. Yeah. True?
Correct. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. There's so many, things that are worth more than money in the world that you could lose.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose one of those things to learn a lesson. If it's money's replaceable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, I took it on a bit of a tangent, but so what was as you were going? So where was your dad and all this when you had your accident and all that sort of stuff?
He was around.
Okay.
He was doing his normal thing.
Yep.
Going to work,
Spending
gambling
money.
the money,
Yeah.
coming home. Then after year 11 is when they got divorced.
Oh, okay.
They separated in year 11. So in year 11, when they were about to separate, I said to him, I pleaded with him and said, please stay, I'll finish school and I'll become an auto electrician.
Mm.
And I'll come work with you and we can start a business.
Yep.
I can help you manage your money and, we can make this happen.
Yep.
But he decided that it wasn't working out and he decided that he wanted to move back to Lebanon.
Yep.
And he wanted to leave my mum.
Wow.
And along with it, he took $100,000 of hers that she had saved up.
Wow.
In the bank.
Yep.
It's actually it's a bit of a case. It's a fraudulent case. He took another lady that pretended to be my mum.
Huh.
And he went to the branch and made sure the branch manager wasn't there.
So that he could try and say that it was.
And he said,
Yep.
me and my wife would like to take out this money, and they both signed and
Wow.
they took out the money.
Huh. Okay.
So then he went to Lebanon and, of course, gambled it.
Yep. It was all gone.
All gone.
Yep.
Came back and my mum said, keep it. Don't come back.
Yep.
You're not coming back to our
Don't
house.
come back to it. Yeah.
You're done with us.
Yep.
We don't want you back. So he did come back.
Wow.
Came back with another wife.
Oh, with another wife.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's a pretty
Trading.
Yeah.
The poor lady's still suffering. She's a lovely lady. She's a school teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, she doesn't know what
she's gotten
she
into.
got herself into. She didn't know he'd lied to us. Said to her, he's quite
Yeah.
wealthy in Australia. He's got properties, and she believed it. She comes from a poor family there.
Yep.
Came here for a better life and realised this guy's
Got nothing.
got nothing.
Yep.
And she stayed with him. She had 2 kids with him, and I think the kids are like 20 years old now or something.
Do you talk to them? Do you know them?
I see them. Yeah, I see them 3 times a year.
Yep.
2 to 3 times a year.
Mm.
We're not very close.
Yep. Yep. Understandable.
Still have respect for my dad because he was my dad.
Yep.
I don't respect what he used to do,
Mm.
but I'm grateful that he did it because I learned not to do it.
Yep.
So I look at it in a positive way.
Yep. That's the only way to look at it.
Rather than saying, oh, my dad never gave me
Yeah.
this. My dad never bought me a car. My dad, you know what? My dad didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
But now I'm the one who's paying for his car registration. I'm the one who's paying for his insurance.
Yeah.
He's reaching out to me to say, son, I have no
Can you
money.
help?
Can
Yeah.
you help? And I'm helping him because I'm capable of helping him,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to be in the position that I am to be able to help him.
Yeah.
So I do help him.
Yeah.
I don't have resentment towards him. He's a simple man. It's as simple as that. I can't expect him to be like another father, a dream father, because
Did you ever have resentment towards him though?
yes, when we were younger, when he used to take the money and gamble it,
Yep.
'cause my mum would be so devastated, she'd be saving up for 3-4 months and he'd find it and take it all and spend it. So
Yeah.
she would be like crushed, and she'd start from the beginning again. She'd start slowly saving up. And how many times can someone do this? Or can someone promise never to do this again and still do it?
Yep. See, I went through a stage or it's quite a long stage where I resented my father.
Why is that?
Well, so he did the wrong thing by my mum, and obviously that took a big toll on her. I remember seeing her at home and seeing her crying and bawling her eyes out, and not really, well, sort of understanding, but not really understanding the picture, because I didn't really know exactly what had happened at the time, but I obviously knew my mum was very upset about something. But that actually just triggered another memory for me when obviously it was when we were still living at St. Clair, so I would have been, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, and my parents would have, they would be arguing or something, and I remember, I don't know, something happened, and my brother and I were in the dining room, and we were lined up, and my parents were like arguing about something, and they started throwing plates at each other, and my mum smashed a plate of my dad's head, I think, from what I remember. So I guess they've always had arguments and things like that. But anyway, so my dad did the wrong thing by my mum, and then my mum had a car accident.
Oh no.
So I think when she was driving to work, and there was a teenage boy ran across the road chasing a tennis ball. Yeah, and she hit him.
Oh.
So obviously, it was a 50, 60 k an hour type thing, and so he's hit the bonnet and obviously hit the windscreen, and smashed the windscreen, and so she stopped, and quite it was a Tongan kid, so quite a large kid, and I think that broke her mentally. We didn't know at the time. Well, I definitely didn't know at the time. Too young to know. I would have been year 11 or year 12, and you're not exposed to mental health issues and things like that. And I think that sort of broke her mentally. It was too much for her then, and she started to get very paranoid, thinking that the authorities were after her, trying to make it out that it was her fault, that that she said that it was this in the statement, and then they've changed her statement, these kinds of things.
Yeah, that's sad.
And then it started to progressively get worse. Like it got to that she'd see the number 7 somewhere, and then she'd say, "I was on the fence of the office" or something like that. And then she'd say, "Oh, that mark means that Channel 7's watching this property." And at the time, you still I remember back then, I didn't really think that of any. I just thought my mum was just being paranoid, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, "No, mum, you don't know how to get her help.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to listen to her kids to try and get help. But she I think in reflection, she never really did any counselling for the accident.
Yeah.
And that coupled with the issues with my dad. That basically put a huge toll on her mentally, and obviously something gave way, and then it sort of I guess progressively deteriorated over a few years, and then when I was in uni, I think it might have been second year or third year or something, I said, "Mum, I think you need to get away." you know, like go on a holiday. And I said, I'll buy you a ticket and why don't you go see family back over in Malaysia? And so I did that. And then she went overseas and, you know, and I didn't really see my dad much because he would be working all the time. And then I was at uni and working as well. So I didn't really think about it. And then, you know, a few months go past and she's still not back.
Oh, wow.
And then when she left, like she went there with, you know, I think 2 full suitcases and all the belongings and things like that. And then pretty much, I think must have taken like 2 years before she finally came back.
Oh, wow.
And so at the start, she was okay when she first went. And then I guess with the way then she was staying with her sister in Singapore, and the way the visa is, you know, you have to basically go to Malaysia and come back every, I don't know, whether it was a month or 3 months or something to get a new visa, renew your visa, right? And yeah, like I guess, you know, a lot of things happened, but before she came back at the end of it, you know, she'd basically been living on the streets of Singapore, had nothing. Went there with 2 full suitcases, came back with just the clothes on her back. No belongings. I don't know if she still had her engagement ring or wedding ring or whatever. I don't know. I just remember that when she came back, she was like very gaunt because she hadn't been eating well, and was really dark because she spent all day in the sun, and she developed like this need to clean, like she'd just be cleaning things all day long. And then that was a real sort of heartbreaking moment, you know. That's, you know, then we had to try and work out, you know, what do we do, and so then we had to, you know, get the local Cumberland hospital that has like a mental health area involved, and you know, get her taken away and into hospital to try and sort out resolve some of the
issues.
What's wrong? And she couldn't even. I don't think she really grasped that something was wrong, you know. And it's a very tough period of life there. And you know, I had this resentment to my dad, like I blamed him.
Yeah.
You know, because he was the one that did the wrong thing to her up front, you know. And then the way he sort of would try and deal with it, he'd say like he can't handle her because, you know, I guess there's you know, hurt feelings there.
Yes.
And so he doesn't really have any opportunity to say anything because she's not going to listen to him anymore. So he was just like, you know, I guess, you know, what can he do? You know, he can't do anything, you know. And then I was
denial.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then I was very angry about it because, you know, like, this is your wife, you know, you've done the wrong thing, and then, you know, you're not really. You say you don't know how to fix it. I'm not asking you to fix it, but I'm asking you to try and make amends, or try and, you know, take care of her regardless, right? Like, she's your wife. And he would instead say, you know, I don't want to be a part of this family type of thing. And, you know, we had some very big arguments about it. And I remember, you know, one time I basically, you know, grabbed his bags and you know, I threw them outside and I said, well, you don't want to be a part of it, then fuck off, like, go. You know, like, if you don't want to, like, help, then don't be here. You know, we don't force you to be here. You know, go find somewhere else to be. And that was like probably the worst of it. And you know, I probably harbored that for many, many years. And like, I don't resent him anymore. I don't forget what's happened because obviously, you know, it's happened, right?
Yeah.
But I just look at it from a different perspective, and I sort of, you know, obviously done a lot of reading about, you know, mental health and all those sorts of things. And so, you know, now it's like I just, you know, I respect that he's my dad, and I know that I wouldn't be the same person without having gone through those things.
Through the experiences.
Yeah, through the experiences. You know, of course, you know, like, you know, when people say, oh, would you change anything? They wouldn't. Well, yeah, I would, because it's my mum. You know, I don't want her to have gone through all that.
No.
Yeah, of course I would change it. Like, that's, you know, I'm not, you know, naive enough to say, oh, you know, no, I wouldn't change a thing, because, yeah, like.
No, you would.
Yeah, of course you would.
Yeah.
It's your mum, you know.
Especially when someone's been affected.
Yeah.
It's your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, your heart, it hurts your heart.
Of course it does.
You know, and so, you know, now I'm okay, you know, like, I'm okay about it. Like, you know, I don't resent him anymore. I just, I hope that, you know, he at least tries, you know, harder, you know, as time goes on. I guess, you know, you get to that age now and that they're at, and then it's like, okay, well, you may not be lovers anymore, but you might be companions.
Yeah.
You know, because for me and my brother, we're not at home anymore.
No.
So they feel, you know, I guess for them, we were the glue that held them together.
Of course.
You know, and without us at home, then it's a different relationship now.
Yeah.
But at least I think, you know, if they can at least be companions, then that's
enough.
That might be okay. You know, like, at least they got somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and not feel isolated.
Alone.
Yeah, alone, right? Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds tough.
It was tough.
Yeah.
But, you know, it is what it is. You know, you don't, just as you said, you know, you don't go and say, oh, you know, I'm upset because, you know, of this or that or whatever. You just...
Because of my dad, I'm like this.
Yeah.
No,
you make your choice what you want to do.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. He made his choices in life.
Yeah. Don't blame others.
Don't blame others for your own choosing of what you want to do. You know, you either choose to do something or you don't. So that's basically, you know, how I sort of view it. And I think, you know, the more control you think, the less control that you think you have, the worse the world seems against you. But then the more control you think you've got, then
things seem easy.
Things are easier. You know, if it's within your control, that everybody needs that feeling of control. You know, and I think everybody yearns for that feeling of control.
Yeah.
Just depends on what capacity and how much
How
control
much you want to control.
Yeah, how much you want to control, right? So
we all have control issues.
yeah. So then, all right. Well, then, how did you get into the coffee business?
So yeah, went through school.
Yep.
Year 11, Dad moved out.
Yep.
Finished year 11.
Yep.
Went on to year 12. Mum was still working. They'd obviously demolished Chase to rebuild it.
Yep.
So she had moved and worked for another sandwich bar for another Italian couple, Mandarin Centre, which was close.
Yep, close by.
School, yeah.
Yep.
So she went there and worked with them.
Yep.
Did her thing as an employee.
Yep.
I went through year 12, finished year 12, got 33.3 in my HSC.
Yeah.
The only subject I failed was religion in my exams.
Okay.
Everything else I got 74 and up.
Okay.
So I did pretty well in my exams.
Yeah.
But I'd never done not one assignment during the year.
That's why. Yep.
And I didn't study at all.
Yep.
I refused to study. My business studies teacher was a young teacher, attractive young teacher. I had a crush on her. And I remember the second last week of school before my HSC, I came into school and I was so tired. I'd been out the night before.
Yep.
And as a under 18-year-old,
Yep.
I used to get into Studebakers on Tuesday nights. It was ladies' night. Ladies drink free.
Yeah.
That was the deal. And we used to know the bouncers, so I used to get in.
Yep.
And I used to be there every Tuesday night. And the next morning, Wednesday morning, we had business studies class, and I was so tired. I was in the back. I was falling asleep. And she came up to me and she said, at the end of the class, she said, Sarkis, which is my real name, said, Sarkis, I'm going to tell you one thing. She said, you haven't done anything all year. You've got 2 weeks left. Please do me a favour. Do as much study as you can in the next 2 weeks. I want to see you get something, a score.
Yeah.
It's for your own good. I said to her, okay, I promise next 2 weeks I'm going to study so hard. I know I've been absent. I've been in the back sleeping for most of the year. Following Tuesday night.
Yep. Out you go.
We're out.
Studebakers.
I'm standing on the top of the stairs. I'm dancing on the top of the stairs, drinking, dancing. Someone comes and tugs on my jeans. I look down, it's my teacher.
No way.
I jump down. I give her a big hug,
Yeah.
like she's my friend. I said, come, let's go have a drink at the bar.
You're 17.
hold her hand, take her to the bar. And she refuses to have a drink with me. She was intoxicated, not fully intoxicated, but she was drunk. And she's saying to me, I can't have a drink with you. First of all, you shouldn't be in here. Second of all, you shouldn't be drinking. Third of all, you've got your exams. And I explained to her that I had no interest in school and please just accept me for who I am. And I don't. And she was actually, she had her own drink. I didn't have a drink. She wouldn't have a drink with me. But we had a chat and then it was the end of the year. But I didn't have any interest in studying. I just wanted to do it for my parents and I wanted to finish the HSC for my parents.
So like from your mum's perspective, like did she know that you had no interest in school? Like,
yeah.
So she sort of resigned herself to the fact that
first 10 years of school, she'd get called up to school all the time.
Yep.
She'd get used to it. Calm down. What's he done now?
Yeah.
Like, what's he done now? What's he done now? And the teachers hated me. Some of them loved me.
Yeah.
The ones that weren't my teachers,
Yeah.
they loved me.
Yep.
I was charismatic. I was nice. I was polite. I was respectful.
Yep.
As I would be to my elders. But if I'm in their class, they didn't like me.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to do any work, or I'd sit in the back and I'd want to go to sleep, or I'd lose concentration, or I just...
You're disruptive.
I was disruptive.
Yeah.
And they didn't like that. So when I left the school, a lot of them would be glad to see the back of me.
Yep.
So I decided that I want to go to TAFE and do a real estate course.
Okay.
Which included selling houses, but also commercial,
Yep.
valuation, stock and station. The real estate course was very broad.
Yep, everything.
And one course, you could be a valuer, you could sell
pick.
cattle, you could do whatever in 1 year.
Yep.
And I thought, this is great. I'm going to do this.
Yep.
I did it. And again, I hated it, but I knew it was only 1 year, and I did it, and I passed, and I got, my certificate.
Yep.
So then we had just moved out at that stage to French's Forest.
Yep.
And my mum had just bought a house in French's Forest.
Yep.
So I finished this real estate course, and then my very good friend of mine, his mum was into real estate and selling property, except they used to sell property, apartments, investment property in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
So she worked for big developers, and then she'd sell them from Sydney.
Yep.
And she was very, very successful. So I thought, I want to be in with this family.
Yep.
And I want to learn
How they do it.
Yep. Because they're amazing at it.
Yep.
And she had 3 kids, and 2 of the kids are still friends of mine now.
Yep.
2 of the boys. And so I went and started working for the company. And then they taught me how to do telemarketing, calling people up. And this family was not your average family. They were very clever. They think out of the box. They do things that people wouldn't even dare to do or think to do.
Yep.
One of it is when I started working for them, I ran the telemarketing team.
Yep.
Which had about 14 young kids working for us.
Yep.
We used to go into Westpac Bank. The bank manager would open at 4:35 p.m.
Yep.
We'd come in there.
Yep.
We'd have the keys to lock the bank at the end. We would sit down in the bank using their telephones to ring their clients on behalf of Westpac.
Yeah, wow.
And the company that I was working for.
Yep.
So we would know all the people who earned more than $60,000 annually.
Yep.
And we'd have a list of all of them.
Yep.
So one by one would ring up and say, "Good morning, Mrs. Smith," or "Good evening, Mr. Smith. Sam calling on behalf of Westpac at so-and-so suburb."
Yep.
They'd say, "Oh, hello." And then would say, "Yes, your branch manager so-and-so
Yep.
has told me to give you a call to formally invite you to our investment seminar." "Oh, that sounds lovely. When is it? Just wanted to see if you're interested. Can I send you out an invitation?" And we'd be polite, and we would get so many leads and so many people that are, "Wow, the bank manager's asked me to come."
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
We'd get them all in a room, bit of catering, developer would stand up, do his thing, Westpac guy would stand up, the bank manager, and say, "I'll lend you the money.
Yeah.
There's the property, I'll lend you the money." Then the real estate people would stand up and say,
"Here's the properties."
"Here's the properties, here are the prices, and all we need is $10,000.
To start.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Who's first?"
Yeah.
And they would sell so many.
Wow.
So many. Because they were the first to jump on this self-managed super as well, and all, way before everyone knew about it. Yep. So people would be dying to buy property from them.
Yeah.
So I learned from there, and I was telemarketing for, I think, 6 to 12 months. And then I started, from that telemarketing, I started getting a commission for all the sales that came over. So I'd create the leads, and then I'd ring him back and say, "Mr. Smith, how was your evening last week? 2 nights ago, whenever. Did you want me to arrange a one-on-one meeting with our bank manager and the person from so-and-so company to talk about purchasing?"
Yep.
And if they turned around and said yes,
away you go.
hot lead.
Yep.
Right? So however many hot leads you get a commission for.
Okay.
Because then they'd just go and do the sell, do the conversion. "Thanks for coming." It's in the bag. Now, 6 months I did that, and I created a few sales out of it.
Yep.
So I went to my friend's mother, who was in business partners with another man in this. I went to her and I said, "Something about the commission." And she said, "Yeah, speak to our partner, the guy who employed you, go talk to him and work it out." When I went and spoke to him, he said, "Oh, no, that commission, we haven't started that commission yet. We're still learning."
Oh, no.
And in my mind, we'd already started.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 months, we've already made a few sales.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was owed
You're already there.
$6,000 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I wanted my $6,000, and I felt like I'm ripped off.
Yeah.
So that made me retract from that job, and I quit that job.
Yep.
And so that was when I was doing real estate. Now let's rewind back to when I was 14 and 9 months.
Yep.
I was doing Coles.
Yep. Oh, the checkout chick. Yep.
Checkout chick. I did that for about a year and a half.
Yep.
When I was close to 16. From 16 to 18, I did 2 years of working as a telephone operator for a tow truck company on Saturday and Sunday, from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. every weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And I did that, and I was good at that, and they loved me, and I always turned up to work. I did a great job, and I never missed an accident. We used to listen to the police scanners, radios, and I used to send them to jobs, and it became like family. They all loved me, like we hung out together. So when I did real estate, I was still doing that weekends as well.
Yeah.
Monday to Friday there, Saturday, Sunday there, earning great money.
Yeah.
For a young 18-year-old kid, I was cashed up.
Yeah.
And then when this happened, I remember going back to my boss, my tow truck boss, and I said to him the story. And he said, "Mate, welcome to real estate agents." He said, "That's what they're like."
Yeah.
He said, "How much did you earn there a week?" I told him $380. It's pretty good, $380. And he said, what if I get double that?
Wow.
I'll give you $750 a week.
Yep.
And you drive a tow truck for me.
Huh.
And now I didn't think tow truck driving was a good job.
Yep.
I didn't want to do that forever, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to double my money. I'm going to go work for him now.
Yep.
So I said, fine. So I drove the tow truck 5 days a week, and then on Saturday and Sunday...
Still in the call room.
Still in the call room. And then we found someone to cover me for then, because I wanted to drive my tow truck 7 days a week.
Yep.
And I'd be called a chaser. A chaser is someone who just chases accidents.
Yep.
Chases pranks. So if it would rain, I'd sleep in my truck listening to the police radio. And every time there's an accident, I try and be first there to get the job.
Yep.
And if you get the job,
Yep.
you also get commission.
Yep.
When you take that car to the smash repairer.
Yep.
So then...
But wasn't tow truck driving rough back then?
Very.
Like, you'd get into fights, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, heaps. I got stories. And then from there, I got into that, and then I started to earn $1,500 a week. And then it started being $2,000 a week.
Wow.
Hard work.
Yep.
It's paying off.
Yep.
Every time I got a job, I went 50-50. I told my boss, forget about the wages. I don't want wages.
Yep. Just pay me on the work that I get.
Everything that I get, we go halves in.
Yep.
Shake hands. We shook hands. I did that for a year. I was earning very good money for my age.
Yeah.
Way more than a real estate agent would. And then by the second year, I went to my boss and I said, hey, I want to buy a truck and
Yep.
I want to start my own, but I want to work under your license.
Yep.
And he said, how much are you going to give me? I said, I'm going to give you 20% of my earning. And he thought, sweet. He doesn't own the truck, he doesn't pay for servicing, and he makes 20% of whatever I turn over.
Yep.
Great. You have to use my invoice books, he said. I said, sure.
Yep.
Because it's your license, I'll use your invoice books.
Yep.
So he started making good money for me, but for me it was like buying protection.
Yep.
Because I was working for the tow truck company on the North Shore, and nobody messed with these guys.
Yeah.
So by just having my truck painted the same color as theirs,
Yes.
or their name on the side of my truck, people thought twice.
Yeah.
And I was a little guy
compared
compared to them. I was this 19, 20-year-old guy running around to accidents, and these other thugs would not have the balls to pick on me
Just because of that.
just because I'd point to the name and say, that's who I work for.
Yeah, wow.
You know, you want to take the job off me? You want to take the car off me? You're going to have to answer to him.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year, and then I bought another truck. Then I got one of my mates to work in that truck under his license as well.
Yep.
So we had two trucks. But it started getting pretty heavy. You know, guns,
Yeah, wow.
pulling out guns at accidents, threats, people outside your house. Like, it became, you know, people burning trucks.
Wow.
You know, people getting shot at an accident.
Yep.
One tow truck to another tow truck. And this was all at the accidents I was going to. I was involved in all of these. Like, I saw what was going on, and I spoke to my mum, and my mum said, please don't do this anymore. Forget about the money.
Yeah.
Get out.
It's not worth it.
But I was so comfortable, 2 years of owning two trucks, making so much money. I thought, I never want to be a real estate agent. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Then I decided, okay, it's time to go. I can't do this anymore. It's too rough for me. I don't want to
Do it anymore.
be involved.
Yep.
So I said to my mum, I want to go buy a cafe. I want to get into coffee shops. And she said, go, I'll come and work for you. I said, no, me and you. Let's do it together.
Yep.
Let's go partners. She said, no. She said, I want you to learn how to run a business. You buy the business. I work for you as an employee. You pay me a good wage from day one.
Yep.
And you always pay me my wage.
Yep.
Deal. We did a deal. I was 21, 2001.
Yep.
Beginning of 2001. I was 22. I bought my first cafe.
Yep.
And that was in Chatswood.
Yep.
Down the road from the school that I went to.
Yep.
And it was called Hula Hands at Chatswood, which was a cool little cafe.
Yep.
When I bought the cafe, first 12 months, we lost $52,000 on top of what I purchased the cafe for, because I didn't know how to make coffee. No one really, the guys who sold to me didn't really teach me much.
Yep.
They told me I can practice when I own the shop on my customers. They didn't really want me to practice on their customers.
Yeah.
So they showed me the basics.
Yeah.
But they said, look, you got to practice on your own.
Yeah.
A bit of tough training.
Yep.
So first year, the business started going backwards. Turnover was still the same, but my expenses were too high and I was just losing money.
Yep.
I ran out of the money that I had stashed. I had no more money left. And I wanted to renovate. But meanwhile, the business started turning around and we started getting regulars and I started getting better and better at making coffee because I wanted to learn how you make coffee because coffee was what was bringing people in to eat.
Yep.
And therefore the revenue goes up. So the better I become at coffee making, the more money I'm going to make.
Yep.
And now I'm already in the hole because I've bought the business plus I've lost 52 in cash.
Yep.
So I said to my mum, the business is swinging up. There's only one way this is going to either go really high or I'm going to lose everything.
Yep.
I need to renovate. So I borrowed $88,000 from her.
Wow.
That's lucky in Chinese,
Yep.
88.
88, good number.
So I spent exactly $88,000 to renovate it. We renovated in 1 week. We were closed for 1 week. A week later, we were open.
Yep. How many guys did you have doing this renovation?
There was...
In a week?
Most of the stuff was prefabbed.
Yep.
They knocked it down the first night. I remember Sunday, 2 p.m, we closed shop.
Yep.
They started demolition.
Straight away.
By Sunday, 10 p.m, everything was stripped in the shop. Wow. There was nothing in the shop. Jackhammered, everything. And they knew, because I said to them, I want it done in 3 days.
Yeah.
But it was impossible.
Yeah.
And then but by the time they ran electrical, ran the plumbing and tiled it and started moving things in, that was already Monday. Like they were
moving.
flying, moving.
They were moving, yeah.
Everything was prefabbed off-site. By Monday, Tuesday, put it back together. By Wednesday, they were fitting off things and putting light fixtures on. We were like ready in a week.
Yep.
We're open in a week.
Yep.
The business started picking up. I started reading books. Never finished them, but read them. Watching DVDs. I bought stuff from the internet from USA, actually.
Yep.
And there was one guy, David Schwimmer, who wrote a book called Barista Techniques. I learned everything on how to make coffee from one book.
Yep.
And then I bought his video and I learned how to do latte art from his videos.
Yep.
And his business was called Vivace Espresso. And that became my Bible.
Yep.
Then I started competing in coffee competitions.
Oh.
And first one I didn't get nothing. Second one I came first. Third one I came first. Fourth one I came first. Fifth one. So I was started to win all of them.
Yep.
Then I had people under me working to learn my techniques.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the turnover is going up, the business is getting busier, and we're starting to make really good profit.
Yep.
Within 12 months, I paid back my mum her 88K.
That's good.
Year 3, year 4 was pure profit, and our turnover went from a quarter of what it was. It multiplied by 4.
Wow.
The coffee consumption went from 15 kilos of coffee a week to about 70. My place was humming.
Yep.
It was the coffee shop on the North Shore.
Yep.
And I wanted to be the best. I had this hunger within me that I wanted to be the best. I wanted to win competitions and I wanted to make more money and I wanted to keep going at what I'm doing. So I used to work with my coffee roaster.
Yep.
And I used to always tell him, why don't you try this? Why don't you buy this? Why don't you use these beans? Why don't you put valves on your coffee bags to release the carbon dioxide? When do you roast the coffee and when do you pack it? Why do you pack it the next day? Why don't you pack it immediately?
Yep.
Because I'm tasting inconsistencies about all this. And I actually improved his systems and procedures.
Yep. And was this from your reading or?
Yeah, from my reading.
Yep.
And from my trial and error.
Did you at least finish that book?
No. I don't think I did. And just from trialing and tasting at work and noting down what are the differences and why is it better today and why not, and asking him, when did you roast this, pack this, deliver this to me? How old was it when I used it? I had a theory in my head like a scientist, like Einstein, that I worked out how to get good coffee.
Yeah.
But I would be also teaching people everything I started
Yep.
learning.
Yep.
And some of the most amazing baristas came out of my workplace. They all worked under me.
Yep.
And along with the success came hunger to learn more and to be more. And I want to be a coffee roaster. I reckon I can roast better than not only my roaster that's supplying to me,
Yep.
but a lot of others.
Mm.
So I started going and watching them roast my coffee.
Okay.
Every week I'd go watch them roast my coffee.
Yep.
I'd pack it myself, put it in bags, put it in boxes, pay them their money and bring it back to my shop.
Yep.
After a month of doing this, I said, can I have a go?
And then you see you started to roast them yourself.
They said, yeah, you can have a go. We'll watch over you. They watched over me. I stuffed up a couple of the first roasts, but within 3 goes, I started getting it okay, good enough for them to leave me on my own.
Yeah.
A couple of months into it, I was roasting my own.
Yep.
I'd walk in, hey fellas, roast, finish packing. I'd say, there we go. I'm taking 70 kilos. Here's your money for 70. Have a nice day. See you later.
Yeah.
It was easy money for them.
Yeah.
I come do my own.
You do your own thing.
My own labour.
Yep.
From there, it became a couple of local cafe owners would come and drink coffee and say, your coffee is the best.
Yep.
How can we buy your coffee? And I said, go buy it from my roasters.
Yep.
The guys that I go roast it at.
Yeah.
And they went and they tried and they came back and they said, no, yours is different.
Yeah.
I said, because I roast my own.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do we get your coffee? And I remember till this day, I've got my first customer, my wholesale customer. And he was my first wholesale customer before I even started Gabriel Coffee. He was my first wholesale customer by just me being a coffee shop owner. And that was at 2005.
Yeah.
And his name's Scott. And he owned a place called Tablespoon at Linfield, which is now called the Runaway Spoon, and he still owns it. And he came up to me and he said, I want you to be my wholesaler. And I said, I don't know anything about wholesale. He said, mate, it's fucking easy. Just keep roasting this coffee, drop it to me, and I'll give you money every week.
Pay you. Yep.
I was like, oh, that's easy. How many kilos do you buy? He said, 25. I said, okay, perfect. And he goes, but I need a coffee machine and a grinder. I said, no, fuck that. He said, that's what everyone does. You have to do the same in wholesale. So I went and invested $12,500, my first time ever, and I bought 2 grinders and a coffee machine for him.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him, and I said, "You're the first guy
I've ever done this for.
I've ever done this for." And that was a long time ago, and 15 years he's been my customer. And after that, I realized another restaurant, Stella Blue Restaurant, DY Beach, they started wanting to buy coffee with me, and other people were just saying, "Hey, I own a cafe. I want this coffee."
Yep.
So then my waitress at the time, who's now my wife, I taught her how to make coffee. She was my barista to give me time off.
So that was at
Houlihan's,
at your coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I said to her, our customer wanted to buy my business off me.
Yep.
So at a 6-month trial, he worked in the business for 6 months so he can learn it and then he can buy it off me.
Yep.
So we sold it for a lot of money to him and taught him how to run the business. But then as soon as we settled, my wife and I got married.
Oh, wow.
We got married. We went and travelled overseas for 9 months. Now, during this 9 months, the guys from Gourmet Gold, Peter and Jeff and their mother, Audrey, I had maybe 12 or so customers, cafes that I was dropping coffee off to from the back of a car.
Yeah.
So I had a little wholesale business, but I didn't really have a name as such. And they said, listen, you go on your honeymoon and we'll run that for you. We'll roast your coffee, we'll put it in a bag and we'll drop it off to them.
Yep.
We know what you put in your blend.
Yeah.
We'll just do it for you and we'll bank your money.
Yep.
We'll pay ourselves from your bank account.
And then
you keep the rest.
Yep.
And I thought that was great. So I let them do it. And my wife and I traveled for 9 months, 9-month honeymoon around the world. And I wanted to study more about coffee. I went to the World Barista Championships in Switzerland, in Bern. I went to New York. New York has an underground coffee market that is phenomenal.
Okay.
Italy, 3.5 months. Spain. I went to so many countries to try and learn about espresso coffee.
Different arts, yeah.
And then when I got back, I said to my wife, I've got these 12 customers.
Yep.
I want to keep doing this forever, and I want to have more customers. I want to have 100 customers.
Yep.
I can make 100 times the money. You know?
Yep.
She said, go for it. I invested my money that I'd made there into a van, and then I started doing wholesale, and I started a brand called Adhd Gabriel. I was influenced by the Italians, and the guys from Stella Blue were Italian. And when I was telling them, I want to call it this and that and this, and they said, no. We'll tell you what you should call it.
Yep.
Most big brands are people's surnames.
Yep.
Dolce and Gabbana are two people.
Yep.
You know, Gucci and other names are a surname of someone. I was like, oh, really? They were like, yeah. What's your surname? I said, Gabrielian. Too fucking long. I said, oh. They said, abbreviate. Gabriel. Gabriel sounds good.
Yeah.
Get rid of the IAN at the end. I said, all right. They said, Café de Gabriel, which means coffee by Gabriel.
Yeah.
I said, I like that. It's catchy, Café de Gabriel. Isn't it too Italian? They said, no. They said, Italians know how to make good coffee. I said, but I'm not Italian. I said, it doesn't matter. Just name it that. I said, all right. I gave it a go.
Yep.
A couple of years into it, it was eating away inside me. I didn't like the name. I was like, I'm not
Italian. Yeah, it's almost like you feel like a fraud.
Yeah, it's too long. Café de Gabriel. And then I decided to drop the word café because the Aussies started going CAFFE, which means cafe. It's not a cafe.
Yeah.
It's coffee.
Yeah.
Where's your cafe, mate? Café de Gabriel. Where are you? Where's your coffee shop? So I had to explain to so many people, no, it means coffee by Gabriel in Italian. And anyway, so we dropped it down to D. Gabriel. Then I went, I don't like D. Gabriel. Why am I D. Gabriel?
D. Gabriel. Yeah.
Just Gabriel.
Yeah.
So 2 years later, I got rid of that too. I had the courage to get rid of it because every time you make a move, it's like
You're changing the brand.
you're changing the brand and you're scared and you're. So I was like, no, I can't continue with this brand. This is not me. And then I created the G and Gabriel by itself. It was actually called Gabriel Coffee Roasters. And I just had the determination to keep wanting to, like the coffee shop, have the best. Consistency and quality was key, and I wanted to always have a consistent quality product that people can rely on.
Yep.
A brand that you know that you're going to get good all the time.
Yep.
And, that went from me sharing the warehouse with these guys, Peter and Jeff.
Yep.
And a couple of years into it, they said to me, we're going to kick you out. You need to go.
Really?
I said, what do you mean? They said, we love you, but, mate, you're going to become something. Go.
Yeah.
We're going to let you go. And I was sad but happy.
Yeah.
I was sad because I didn't, what could I do?
Yeah.
But they said to me, go buy a roasting machine.
And do it.
And do it.
Yeah.
You have nothing to worry about. The volume that you're already doing now,
You're fine.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Let alone if you have your own roaster and keep growing. So that pushed me to doing my own, and I did.
Yep.
And I went and bought a little warehouse at French's Forest on Aquatic Drive, a small little strata warehouse, 180 square metres and 40 square metres of office. Stuck this Topa roaster that I bought from Turkey. I imported from Turkey. Stuck that in there. 2 of them actually.
Yep.
A small and a big one. A 5 kilo and a 30 kilo roaster. Started roasting out of there and employed my first employee, then my second employee, then third and fourth, and the business kept going. Growing.
Yep.
5 years into that, we were maxed out. We were doing day and night shifts. I had the head roaster of Campos Coffee had just left Campos to come work for me.
Yep.
I had a great team.
Yep.
My business was thriving and I was ready to take the next challenge. And we outgrew the space, so I went and found something in Chatswood, and I came back home and I told my wife, I'm going to buy this big building in Chatswood. And she never questions what I do financially. She said, you know what you're doing.
Go for it.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Can we afford it? Are we going to be at risk? I said, we can afford it. We're going to be sweet.
Yeah.
And she said, do it. So I bought that, and I bought a bigger roaster. And a few years into it, I bought another bigger roaster. And I just kept growing by just trying to have a consistent quality product. And, you know, it's been a good business for me.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of options in life. Some people don't have the options to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas this business, touch wood, has
Giving you those
allowed me to do anything I want, which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I know it's happened because of hard work and everything else that goes with it, but it's been good to me and I've been good to it. So I'm blessed to have, you know, the company now, and we're still growing.
Yeah.
It's a tough time of market now. Everything's tough.
Yep.
Every business that I talk to is telling me about who's going into receivership and who's liquidating and who's closing down, or, you know, I'm grateful that we're not in that predicament.
Yeah.
We're in a position that we want to grow next year. I want to be double. I want to be bigger next year, and I'm pushing all my team in the right direction. So we'll continue.
I guess talking about business, right? When you first started and you're developing this team, did you find that you had to have a change in mindset from once your business started to get a little bit established, and I guess, you know, now you're chasing this new expectation, this new goal. Did you have to change your mindset, or? My mindset has changed from having just me and one other staff member to me and having 5. Yep.
And then moving a warehouse and employing another 5.
Yep.
And then there's been stages that I've shifted. 3 years ago, when my business hit its 10-year, I thought I wasn't capable of running it further than what it is. So I employed someone that I thought is better than me.
Yep.
And I put all my trust into them, and I gave them the keys to my business like Henry gave to my mum.
Yep.
And I said, you run this business like it's yours.
Yep.
And you're much more qualified than me.
Yep.
I'm going to go open up coffee shops.
Yep.
And I went and did that, and I opened up 8 coffee shops in 3 years, which were very successful. And I did it at the right time because I made a lot of money from that, which paid off a lot of my properties.
Yep.
And during that time, my business actually went backwards. My growth pattern that was growing 15 to 20% a year, the first year it only grew 10%.
Yep.
The next year it was the same, down by about 1 or 2%.
Yep.
The third year was down by 15%.
Yep.
Then I took it back on.
Yep. Because something had changed.
Everything happens for a reason. And then I sat down with my accountant, and he was like, is there something I need to know? Because I'm worried. Your turnover's going backwards, mate.
Yep.
And that had to happen for me to realise that my main business that I've dropped the ball on is actually going backwards, still making a profit, but not the growth is going backwards.
Yeah.
And it threw me back into driver's position.
Yeah.
And I've been there now for 7 months.
Yeah.
6-7 months. And we're up by about 15%.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
In a tough market. But and I just needed to step up as a person think laterally, think differently. You go from an uneducated boy owning a coffee shop,
Yeah.
hustling for money,
Yeah.
to now an owner of a company and a brand,
Yeah.
and knowing how to deal with mature corporate people that come and work for you,
Yeah.
and how to motivate them to work hard
Yeah.
rather than you doing all the work.
Yeah. Nobody teaches you that.
Nobody teaches you that.
Yeah. There's no business school in the world that you can go to that really can give you that real life experience. You know, like in the automotive industry, you see it all the time where there are guys who are very good at selling cars, and then by virtue of being there for a long period of time and having, you know, decent sales results, people then go and throw them into a management role,
Yeah.
and then expect them to be good managers. Like it's a complete
Different ball game.
it's a complete disconnect. Just because somebody can do it well themselves doesn't mean they can teach anybody. You know, I think, you know, that's where I've been a little bit blessed, that, you know, through my martial arts side of things, like, you know, I've done Kung Fu for a long time and I've taught for many years, that, you know, I've developed a teaching style as a result of it, because, you know, you've got to deal with fresh people all the time. You've got to understand that people learn things differently, they engage differently, and ultimately, you know, you want them to come back the next week or the next lesson.
Yeah.
So, you know, like when I think I'm a very different leader to what I was when I was first thrust into that capacity at 28. Like you know, I'm 35 now, so there's you know 8 odd years in that, and you know I took a step back in my career at one stage as well, because I think, you know, sometimes you need to, just like, you know, as you said, you stepped away from the wholesale business, and you basically went back to coffee shops.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Back to the roots.
Yeah, back to the roots, right? And then, but now you've come back into it, and then you see it in a different perspective again.
Yeah. It's like a fresh lease.
It's and that sort of, I think it revitalizes you. You know, sometimes you need to have that. I think, you know, in any sort of business that's, you know, we're in businesses which are like first world businesses.
Yeah.
You know, I deal in luxury cars.
Yeah.
So not everybody needs a luxury car.
Yeah.
And, you know, and even in the car industry, sometimes, you know, I know that I went through some dark stages where I started to feel like it was really hollow.
Yeah.
You know, like what am I doing? I'm selling cars.
Yeah.
Like, is it really that important? Like,
Yeah.
you know, am I making such a big impact on this world?
Yeah.
You know, that was sort of like how I had these sort of doubts in my mind, and I guess I was also downplaying the responsibility I had, because when you were a leader in a company or you're a manager, you're responsible for people's livelihoods. You know, you've got your team of people that they rely on you to feed their families.
Correct.
And yes, it's a first world business and a first world problem, but we're living in the first world. We're fortunate enough to be in that position, right? So, you know, it doesn't make what we do any less valuable. It's only how we view it that makes it less valuable. And, you know, I think, you know, ultimately, you know, money, fame, all these kinds of things are more just enablers. You know, they accent who you are. You know, so if you're a shit person, you become a shitter person. You know, if you're a good person, then theoretically, hopefully, you know, it means that by having the money behind you, that enables you to do more good. You know, or if you're famous, that enables you to use that platform for better things.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. And so I had to have that sort of perspective change. You know, and yes, you know, whilst I deal in, luxury cars or prestige cars, however you want to term it, the value in having, you know, employees who are motivated, engaged, and they also derive their sense of purpose from how you carry yourself. You know, so, you know, if I don't view my job in any sort of value, how are they going to view their jobs in any sort of value? and I guess, you know, for me, it always boils back down to that experience. You know, I can tell you this funny story. I was talking to a client who, you know, didn't end up buying a vehicle from us. And I just sort of asked, you know, I was wanting to get a bit of feedback, and I said, oh, you know, is there any particular reason why you decided not to purchase the car from us? And then he turned around and said, well, it was the price. Okay. And I said, yeah, price is important. Not going to say that price isn't important. I guess, was there any part of the experience aside from the price that we fell over? And he turned around and said, well, there was no experience. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, I never even came to see you guys. I just called to get a price so that I could take it back to my, you know, the person that I was dealing with to
Get a better price.
Get a better price, right? And I said, I'm you know, part of me, I feel a bit sorry for you that that's how you view things, because I think, you know, in the world that we currently live in, like, things are going. There's two ways that it can go. There's obviously, you know, everything's internet and social media, and then there's this other pathway where it's all about human relationships, you know, and we're in that generation where we can go either way.
Yeah.
You know, we're good with technology, but we still value the person-to-person interaction.
Correct.
And I think, you know, the future is either it's going to drive more of a fork, you know, just like how, you know, politics has become so divisive. It's the same thing. There are going to be people that are more engaged in that technology side, and you know, we don't need the internet is the medium in which we deal with.
Yeah.
And then there are still other people that would prefer, I just want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, deal with somebody who can actually reaffirm the decisions that I'm making. And so, you know, like that's where, you know, there's a real stigma in the automotive industry against, you know, people that are in sales, not even just in the automotive industry, but in sales in general.
Most sales.
Yeah. In that most sales is like, you know, they're untrustworthy. It's a hollow business, you know. But I think, you know, when you, and yeah, for like, I think that's the people that have been in the industry's fault that people view it that way.
Yeah.
You know, because they haven't had a chance to deal with somebody who actually has stuck around long enough. Like, you know, like the running joke is, you know, you sell somebody a car, or you buy a car from somebody, and then by the time it's time to get your next car, they're gone, right? So even if you wanted to buy that other brand, you don't know where they've gone because they haven't maintained that relationship.
Yeah.
And whereas I sort of view it differently, and I'm a culprit too, right? I've changed brands recently, but you know, I try and bring everybody along for the journey too, you know. And I don't, you know, if you were to say, you know, Johnny, I'm not interested in a BMW, I'm not going to hold that against you. You know, I'll still help you with whatever I can because that's how I operate. You know, that's how I see the value in it.
Yeah.
That, you know, just like people have, you know, you're the coffee guy for a lot of those coffee shops. Then there is, like, you know, people generally have like a family doctor.
Yeah.
Or a dentist.
Yeah.
Or a hairdresser.
Lawyer.
Right? Yeah, lawyer. Right, solicitor. People need that from a car guy too. That if they don't have anybody else that they know of in the industry, or family member in the industry, it's good to have that relationship.
Oh, 100%.
You know, to be able to bounce those things off.
Yeah.
To check, you know, am I making a smart decision? Do you know anything about this particular car that I don't know that I should know?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm thinking about buying one, like they're the sorts of things that I think, you know, you can't put a dollar value on that because somewhere along the lines, no matter, you know, unless you're not going to drive a car at all, you still need to have advice.
You will always need to.
Yeah. And so it's the same thing, like I think in most industries, but I think that people element is it's lacking nowadays. You know, people have forgotten how to be people. You know, when I say that, what I mean is like the things that people would say or message via text message or post, or you know, or say, you know, via you know, social media or whatever. You'd be hard pressed to find a lot of people that would say the same thing to your face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like people are just, you know, they think that it's so easy to upset somebody else by saying something like that. But then if you were sitting across the table from them,
you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah. I think that's a weakness.
Yeah. Hiding.
Yeah. So, and And then, okay, so with regards to, so you met your wife so your wife was working for you at the coffee shop.
Yeah. Yeah, she was working for me for 2 years before we got engaged.
Yep.
No. Yeah, about 1.5 years. And then we got engaged, and then she worked for me for another 1.5 years.
Yep.
So 3 years in total, and then we got married.
Yep. And so she's also changed direction in terms of the things that she was doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so did she have a hiatus from working, obviously, for a while with the kids and that? And then, or what, like,
No,
how did she sort of get into the things that she was doing?
She had studied to be a teacher.
Okay.
And she went to university and did her master's.
Yep.
And then after that, she went and studied to be a counsellor.
Wow.
And she has an interest in human psychology and helping people.
Yep.
So once she finished her studies, she went and worked for a clinic to be a counsellor, but didn't really like it. And the person she worked for had put a lot of stress on her when we first got married, and she had a lot of intolerances, gluten, dairy. So she had a crooked tummy, so she couldn't eat these particular foods, but cafes wouldn't have anything gluten-free, dairy-free.
Yep.
If you say to a cafe 15 years ago,
Yep.
do you have any gluten-free something? They look at you funny and say, what?
What are you talking about?
What's gluten-free?
Yeah.
Or they'd say, why don't you just have a sandwich? They didn't understand. So she had to come up with alternative foods that she could eat, that she could feed me as well, and she looked into the healthier way of living.
Yep.
And slowly she'd make treats. She'd say, "Oh, what's your favorite chocolate?" I say Snickers. And she'd say,
I'm a Snickers man too.
"I'm going to make a Snickers bar. I'm going to make a raw vegan Snickers bar." And I'd be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
So then we would practice, and she'd Google how to make caramel fudge and how to make all this stuff without having any dairy and she would come up with it. And I'd give her ideas, and I'd say, why don't you put peanuts and then roll it, and then let's roll it in chocolate, like let's make it like a Snickers bar. And then she'd execute it, she'd do it.
Yep.
And then slowly she started making treats for my cafes that I opened up.
Yeah, wow.
Like a few years into it.
Yep.
Which was now 8 years ago.
Okay.
Started making us gluten-free muffins and mango slices and all this stuff that was clean.
Yep.
No refined sugar in it.
Yep.
In any of the stuff. And then from there, it became a hit. People were eating it going, this tastes great, and it's actually good for you too. It's actually healthy for you. So people started getting into this healthy eating. So she was making a lot of cakes for my cafe, and we had a very, very busy cafe in Willoughby called Dose. And she couldn't keep up, so we hired a Vietnamese lady to help her. And there was 2 people full-time making things for our cafe, which was around the corner.
Yep.
And then that took its toll. It made her really tired. And she had kids at the same time too. So it was like
all happening at the same
kids.
time.
Yeah. And she's a very hard worker, so she was determined to keep doing it.
Yep.
And then one day I sat her down and I said, you're killing yourself. You know,
Yeah.
what are you doing? She was.
Yep.
She said, I can't do this anymore. She was crying. She was like, I can't. I'm so tired and
Can't keep up.
can't keep up with this. I said, forget about it all. You don't need to do it. Don't do it anymore. And then she was posting on Instagram, and her Instagram followers were getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And as soon as she stopped producing for the cafe, she started developing recipes to put on Instagram. And she used to give them for free to people.
Yep.
And then her followers
Skyrocketed.
started skyrocketing, and people were trying her recipes and saying,
This is good.
this works.
Yep.
And it's actually easy and it's amazing. From that, she got heaps of popularity. Then eventually someone came, a couple of publishers came knocking and said, will you write a book? So she came to me and I helped her do a deal and helped her get a book on its way.
Yep.
And then we launched the book, and then I said to her, we should do an app at the same time.
Yep.
No, actually, she came to me and she said, I want to do an app. I said, like, okay, let's go look for app developers.
Yep.
Let's get a few quotes, let's...
Okay, how to put it together.
It's like anything, really.
Yep.
So I guided her, and then she worked out how to do some of it herself and then give the rest to others to do. And then she launched her brand as such and started this recipe app. And then she was, top 5 selling apps for food, healthy food apps on Apple for a long time.
Yep.
So she was making decent coin out of it.
Yep.
And she didn't have to make all these cakes anymore.
Yep.
So all the fridges and everything went in the bin, like brand new equipment, ovens and all waste.
Yeah.
But it was a learning experience for her.
Yep.
So she learned, and she moves on to the next thing, which was visual food presentation, writing real well. So her writing improved.
Yep.
Explaining why she makes this and what are the nutrients in this compared to a Mars bar.
Yep.
And that the world took to it. Before you know it, her book's out. She's got 540,000 followers. She gets reposted by everyone. She's recognized as one of the leading whole food person in the world. And she slowly, and then the typical social media, the jealousy, the copying, and all this started getting to her. She would do something, and she'd have 2 rivals in particular that would copy the exact thing.
Wow.
And she'd say to me, she'd show me the post she's about to do, and she'd say, what's the bet? Within 2 weeks, this particular person,
we'll have the same
she knew,
thing.
will have the same thing. And I'd be like, no. And I kept playing it down for her and saying, no, it's not. Are you sure? She's like, watch. Within 2 weeks, surely enough, that would happen. And that ate away inside her. Someone copying everything that you do, and they're rising, and even more than you. So I had to mentally help her and coach her, because she went through this, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I'll create something, then she copies it. And
yeah.
So she had a bit of a battle there.
Yep.
And she started getting to more wellness headspace rather than everything about food.
Yep.
Still about food,
but
more about headspace and life, and what do you consider life? What are the important things in life? So she started posting how she feels and how she thinks. She became even more popular. Some of the followers had dropped off because they still want to see colourful, pretty things. And she's been on so many TV shows and cooking shows and stuff. She was over that stuff. She was like, you know what? It's all fluff, that stuff. The real stuff is my family, my kids, my...
Things that are important.
Things that are important. I don't care if I'm not a bikini model showing my bum on the beach like the others. I don't want to get followers for that. She'd never put her face on Instagram. And I said, why don't you show your face? She says, because my brand's not all about me. It's not about a body and a face. It's about product and feeling. And from there, she developed this kind of holistic way of living and thinking about food and thinking about emotions and feelings. And now she's got these little candles, energy candles with crystals. They're like healing candles. And she's got some aromatherapy oils and sprays. And everything's about you being a better person through being happy and thinking with clarity. So that's that's the kind of path that she's taken now. She's not doing a second book. She had a deal on the table. She was about to sign. Her father passed away, and she just stopped and went, you know what the fuck is all this for?
Yeah.
Seriously, who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
I couldn't give a shit about
Yeah.
trying to chase and do. I want to just look after me.
Yeah. Is it feeding the ego, or is it actually
Correct.
Yeah, feeding your mind.
Correct. She's like, I don't need any of this. I don't want it. I just want to look after my kids.
Yep.
My family, myself, and that's enough. That's enough for me. So she's toned right back, and if anything, actually, she's got more interest commercially from companies now that want to deal with her more.
Yeah.
And she's saying, no, I don't want to do work.
Yeah.
You know what it's like?
Yeah, of course.
When you don't want it, it all comes.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you want it, nothing comes.
You can't will it. It's got to happen on its own. And I guess, when you think about, I guess, your relationship as a husband, she's also, I guess she's obviously your wife and, the mother to your kids. Like, has that dynamic gone through any shifts as
Yeah, of course.
through your success and her success? And
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah. She used to always say to me, the first 8 years of our relationship, you were on the phone hustling and building your brand.
Yeah.
Next 8 years, I'm going to be on the phone. It's my turn. And I said, babe, totally fair.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking with me for the first 8. We're good now.
Yeah.
You go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I'll stick with you for the next 8.
Yeah.
And, what's fair is fair, really.
Yeah.
Not that we rely on any of her income.
Yeah.
At all. But it's not about me. It's not about the money
Yeah.
that she's making.
Yeah.
I'm just allowing her
To get the
to
sense of
live her
achievement.
life.
Yeah.
To live this achievement. Go through, lose a bit, make a bit, hustle, get burnt, win. Go through this roller coaster ride.
Yeah. Enjoy it. It is what it is.
And then we've got something to talk about when we stop,
Yep.
when we both stop and say, how was your ride?
Yeah.
Remember when all these things happened, the goods and the bads? We've got something to talk about.
Yeah.
Instead of just suppressing her and saying, hey, let me make the money, you just sit at home.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in this day and age. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't have its toll on your relationship too. Because all of a sudden, I've got 15 staff and a PA, and then I go home and I'm her PA.
I always joke my wife is my PA.
Right? And then I'm her PA. She says, babe, on Thursday, I need to go for a photo shoot at this and this to do this.
Yeah.
In other words, I have to take
Pick up
her
the
or
kids,
go over
yeah.
or pick up the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
I have to drop I'll have important meetings. I'll have you to come and talk to.
Yeah.
I'll cancel everything. I'll say, no problem. I'll make it happen. And I'm her.
Yeah, you've got to offer that support.
Yeah, I'm her support.
Yeah.
I hope she does appreciate it.
Yeah.
She doesn't say it all the time, but I know she knows.
Yeah.
I tell her.
It's funny because my wife Ange has gone through these she's doing an 8-week challenge, and she had this previous 8-week Bible study thing that she wanted to do, and so then I had to give up some of the things that I wanted to do for those 8 weeks, and then it's like she hadn't even finished the first 8-week one, and then she's starting the second 8-week one, and I was like, oh come on, what are you doing to me? Meanwhile I feel like I'm falling apart because of all the things that I
need to do.
Yeah, like would usually do. You put on hold, but then it's like, well, look, fair's fair. Like she's copped this for majority of the relationship, so all you can do is really support and help them to be the best version that they want to be of themselves. Because I think everybody needs that sense of purpose.
As long as that whatever they're doing doesn't create issues or make things worse for your relationship. Sometimes you might want to do the right thing by your partner and say, yeah, go out I want to go out with the girls. Yeah, you should go out with the girls. I'll look after the kids. Go out. And she goes out, and then she has maybe a couple of bad friends or meets the wrong person, or, you know, it puts them in a worse predicament.
Yep.
As long as it's not putting them in any either danger or mentally changing the way they think. Because then what's happening is you're losing that person that you married because they've actually changed now. They're wanting to, and it happens in the corporate world, they wanting to climb the ladder.
Yep.
And they want more and more and more and more and more. It's
sucked in.
It's an ego-driven. You get sucked in, and you want more and more. How are you going to tell your wife that's enough?
Yep.
2 books is enough. 3 books is enough. 2 apps is enough. You can't do any more. She's on this. She thinks she's stronger than you. She's going to tell you to be quiet soon.
Yep.
And it's happened to someone that we know very well. And the wife got a taste of a different life.
Yeah. Drove the ego. Yep.
Relationship's over. That's divorce.
Yeah. Well.
So you just
got to remember you're in it together.
Yeah. Look, when I'm with her, I know deep down in my gut that you could put all the temptations in the world in front of her.
Yep.
Nothing will happen. I know that she's mentally strong. She's like her father. And therefore, I'm open to her when she says, I need to go to LA to do a book launch.
Yep. Go for it.
I say, go.
Yep.
She says, I'm going with two of my girlfriends. I say, great.
Yeah,
now I feel like you're
have a good
safe.
time. Yep.
Yeah, go have a good time.
Yep.
And I know she goes, she has a good time, she comes back. Yeah, there will be other men.
Yep.
Some in higher places, or some will try and sell her dreams. But you've got to have a little bit of trust in your.
You got to have faith.
You got to have faith.
And how do your kids? Because obviously they, like when they were younger, like you were so focused on you in terms of your career, and then now it's she's having the opportunity to focus on her career. How do the kids find that? Like, was that an adjustment for them?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because the kids want attention. Mom.
Well, they're so used to having mum there all the time, right?
Mum, look at me. Mum, look at me. But from when the kids were quite young, Mum was working, and she still is.
Yeah.
She's a good mother, and she tries to be as good as she can be. But the fact is, she's juggling so many things that even if she tried her hardest, she can only be a 40% good mother.
Yep.
Because she's got us all to look after. She's got herself to look after. Then she's got her business to look after.
Yep.
She's got cleaning, housework, just general stuff.
Yeah.
There's so many factors in
So many
life.
pressures, yep.
How are you meant to be a perfect mother?
Yeah. Well, I think there's this unfair expectation on
You can't work and be a perfect mother, and her work is all at night times.
Yep.
Instagram is booming at night, so she needs to sit down and do posts and reply to people and do all that shit at night time.
Yep.
Well, the kids are like, Mom, what about me? What about me? And then she's
absorbed in.
She's absorbed, but she does put the phone down and say, I'm so sorry, kids, because, let's play Scrabble, let's do this. She realizes, she knows.
Yeah.
But, that beast draws you in.
Yeah.
And have I struggled? Yeah, I've struggled. I'd love for my wife to just sit next to me and we'll watch TV and have ice cream and talk crap or whatever for a bit. And then I'd love to be a little bit more simple instead of her telling me about an issue and then me trying to problem solve for her, give a solution, and then, her trying to fix that problem. And it's where she's working.
Yeah.
And I'm her apprentice during the time. But deep down I know it's not forever because I'm watching from the outside world.
Yeah.
I'm seeing her absorbed in this shit social media balloon that'll explode.
Yep.
Right? So, and I know deep down it's not her thing.
Yep.
she can't be fake. She's too real.
Yeah.
So eventually she's going to go, fuck this.
Yeah.
So I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just letting her.
It's true because, like, if you truly being authentic on social media, how many things are you going to be able to post about before you have to post something that's not necessarily authentic?
What people
to,
like.
Yeah.
Or,
You know, because like, if I had to post all the authentic things that I do, it'd be pretty boring.
or think about.
Yeah, it's going to be like nobody even wants to post that sort of shit.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to post a highlight.
Yeah.
You know, showcase the good stuff.
The good stuff. What about the bad?
What about the bad? And what about the normal?
Yeah.
Where's all the normal shit? Like,
Yeah.
But then everybody's like, you know, people don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So you don't post it.
Now it's starting to become a trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
She started a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Now. She lost a chunk of followers because she's just now being real.
Yeah.
She calls a spade a spade.
Yep.
She just says it. But now, instead of just getting likes and whatever, now she gets like hundreds of comments to say, you've touched my heart. You know,
There's an engagement.
so like now the followers are so strong.
Yeah. Yep.
She's created more of a cult following rather than just a fake like because it's a pretty picture.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not hollow anymore.
Yeah. It's not hollow. And her posts are, you know, pretty big.
Yeah. Oh, I saw, you know, some of the ones when her father passed away, and it was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
You know, but I think people, I guess when people are absorbed in that world, and you can feel very alone, sometimes it's nice to know that somebody
There's
else
people
is,
out there.
Yeah, going through something similar.
Yeah.
Has gone through something
Yeah.
similar. You know, it's something that everybody, you know, faces one day, or has already faced, and you know, I think that's you know, when faced with your own or the mortality of people that are close to you, you know, everybody always hits the reset button or has to take that moment to look at things. You know, just like, you know, part of the reason why I started doing the podcast was because I had a good friend of mine from high school commit suicide.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that makes you go, fuck, you know, what's important? You know, is everything that we do really that important?
All good?
Yeah, all good. Or, but you need to have purpose, right? You need to find some purpose. Otherwise, it's very easy to get lost. You know, you need direction.
Yeah, you need to be grounded.
You need to be grounded.
Yeah.
But we've just talked for over 2.5 hours.
Great.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to add at this point in time, but you know, it's been really good. I'm really grateful that you decided to come.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a bit of a
Thanks
chat.
for having me.
Anytime.
It's the longest conversation I've had.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I think, as I said, it's a lost art nowadays, and I think, you know, there's plenty of things that I've picked up in this conversation from your experience that I'm going to take away with me, and I'm sure there'll be, you know, plenty of other people that would feel the same way, and I'm really grateful to have gotten such a good friend from
thank you.
the hollow industry.
Thank you.
From the industry of car sales to you know.
Not all car salesmen are hollow. There's heaps of good guys out there. Yeah.
But,
thanks for having me.
Thanks
Thanks for listening.
Give yourself a bit of a plug. So, you know, obviously it's Gabriel Coffees.
Gabriel Coffee.
Yep.
Gabriel Coffee, Sydney.
Yep.
And yeah, that's all I need to say.
All right. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.